What's up, everybody, and welcome back to another edition of the Good Anime Palette Podcast. This is episode number 33. Will and I are back at our usual recording location with our usual recording studio, and we will give you the rundown on the spring anime season. But first, I am your co-host, Jason, and I'm joined, as always, as usual, with revived Will over here.
It feels so good to be back in the office. Damn, okay, last couple of weeks where I think we did it
Actually, it's more than a couple of weeks, but
actually, a couple of months actually.
Yeah,
because this was we had the little sort of mini lockdown in Hong Kong around Chinese New Year. So for those who don't know when Chinese New Year is, for this year it was the beginning of February. So actually, close to 3 months of not being in the office.
Yeah, it's like a pseudo lockdown, and I was just staying at home other than going to Will's place to record.
And I was working from home like literally every single day for like almost 3 months straight. But then, things opened up, got back to the office last week, and things are slowly getting back to normal. It's not like completely back to normal yet, but like we're not taking anything for granted. We're going to enjoy this amount of freedom we've been given.
Just to be clear though, when Will says back to normal, that means back to normal of COVID, not before
COVID's still around.
COVID's still around.
I mean, like we're talking about like being able to go outside and have dinners, and then being able to like actually go to a bar and like not have everything closed by like 10 o'clock, because that's what we're doing right now. I think like other parts of the world, things are pretty much like there's no like outdoor mask mandates. Places now are able to serve people in larger groups than like 4 or 8 or whatever it was. We're taking it day by day. We're slowly getting to a point where we can start sensing a normal routine in life, albeit under COVID.
Look, I'm just glad that not only are we back in the office, but we're using our, I guess, normal podcast equipment.
We got our regular microphones, our pop filters. We got our big boy sound card again as well. So and also the fact that like rather than being cramped in my room, we now have a larger office space to be able to do stuff. And it's also easier to manage acoustics too. We don't have my dog barking in the background now as well.
Yeah, so that is our rundown of what has been happening.
It's a big life development, man. Like 3 months shacked up, like not being able to actually freely move around, and now being able to do everything. Like, oh god, I miss this.
So Will and I have been watching and reading a bunch of stuff, but we have decided to forgo that this time around because, well,
we just have a lot of seasonals we want to go over. I think like what we've done before was, and this was just like a one-off with the previous seasonal episode, we covered pretty much every single seasonal for winter 2022. This time around for spring, we go over quite a large amount of the catalog, but rather than going through everything, we were a little bit more picky this time because, hey, spoiler alert, the spring season of 2022 is lit. It's really good. So we could be a little bit more selective, but that also means that we want to spend more time going more in depth with each seasonal.
Yeah, I think what we're going to do onwards with seasonal premieres is maybe not go too crazy like we did with the winter, but maybe similar formats to the spring season episode that we're doing right now.
Yeah, it was kind of tough for winter though, because whilst there were some gems, right, like
slim pickings, really.
I mean, like there was Dress Up Darling, there was Sailor Girl, a Sailor Uniform Akebi. There was also some stuff continuing from. I
mean, there's Demon Slayer, Takagi-san,
Attack on Titan as well. Which, by the way, Attack on Titan, like I still listen to the opening for part 2, final season. Like, oh god, that shit was great. But this time around, there was a lot more like good shit to watch. So we can be picky. And hopefully, the ones that we pick are the ones that tickle your fancy. And if there's anything we don't cover, look, like we may have time to go over them for the rest of the season. We still have a couple more episodes before we wrap up season 3. So you never know. There might be a surprise pick later on in the next couple of weeks.
So we will talk about what we have been watching and reading next episode. But just because
I'll assure you, like the stuff we've been reading and watching, I know you've been reading some really good shit.
Good shit.
And I've been watching some interesting shit. But we'll leave that for the next episode. We want to dedicate this episode to more of a focus on the seasonals. But before that, as usual,
we have news, because just because time progresses doesn't mean that anime news decides to stop as well. Just because, Hong Kong is in a pseudo lockdown back then doesn't mean that we have nothing to report on. In fact, we have plenty to report on.
We actually had a lot, but we needed to sort of cut things down a bit. Otherwise, like just doing the news itself could be like a whole episode itself.
Yeah, and we don't want to bore you with all the news. So we have narrowed it down to several news stories. Well, more than several. But, Will, let's start.
Yeah. So, thank you for letting me take the first one because we're going to be talking about this little series called Tatami Galaxy. Now, of course, the
Wait,
series came out a
Tatami
long time
Galaxy?
ago. It's one of my favorite anime of all. It is my favorite anime of all time. An adaptation of a campus manga, the campus novel that came out way before that, focusing on the trials and tribulations of it's essentially like a Groundhog Day kind of story, where a young man named Watashi, or I is trying to traverse life as a young university student and learning about what it means to love, what it means to find passion, what it means to indulge, and what it means to regret. Now, I've talked about this, I don't know, like 100 fucking times. I'll say it again. It is my favorite anime of all time.
I also think it's a very, very good anime. I think I gave it 9 out of 10, and I learned about cat and ramen for the first time.
Yeah, I gave it an 11 out of 10. But then, of course, that's illegal, so I have to give it a 10 out of 10.
You can always put it under notes and say +1, right?
Yeah, exactly. Right. Everything, like if it is your favorite, it deserves to get that one little extra smidgen of a point. But nonetheless, we're not talking about the Tatami Galaxy. We're going to talk about something else that's coming up afterwards because
Night is Short, Walk on Girl, right?
That's also a really good movie. I gave that one a 9, I think. But yeah, I mean, it's similar appeal. The fact that you also have Kanahana playing the main character as well, fucking great. It was a fun time.
I think I forgot. I gave it an 8.5, like in my head, but whether it was a 8 or a 9, I forgot which one. I think it was more of an 8 if I remember. So, but still, if you like that kind of style,
if you like the vibes, right?
It is exactly that, and they do it extremely well.
Yeah. So following that, we actually have like a direct sequel for the Tatami Galaxy, which is Tatami Time Machine Blues, or Yojohan Time Machine Blues. There is an announcement. They are going to be releasing it's going to be like a theatrical release coming in on September 30. So yeah, for those who are excited to actually see some more Tatami Galaxy works, we're gonna be getting a theatrical compilation film releasing on a limited 3-week run on September 30. So I believe that the trailer is out. It's not on YouTube yet, but you can find it in places. I haven't properly seen it yet myself. But from the visuals that are posted on the Anime News Network, the gang is back. So you got Watashi, you got Akashi, the best, best girl in my opinion, best waifu, best kudere. Then you also have Ozu. You got Big Chin, Higuchi. I'm not sure if Johnny's back, but he's a very special character. He may or may not show up.
I think there are even like 2 new characters
At the moment. There are 2 segments which involve brand new characters, which makes sense. I mean, Tatami Galaxy is all about character interactions and developing stories. You want to see more of that shit. So there's not too much else to really talk about this, other than the fact that I'm extremely excited because the new posters for Tatami Galaxy and the Time Machine Blues look awesome. Not to mention as well that there's also a sale on the novel.
They reiterated throughout their promotional material for this trailer that they are going to be available on Disney Plus. So at some point, basically. So they even have a little section. It's like, hey, here's a little bubble that says Disney Plus.
And another little snippet too. The Disney Plus version will include an original episode that will not be shown in theaters. So I can't believe I'm shilling right now, but hey, get your Disney Plus service right now. Sign up for Disney Plus, because I have already.
So September 30th is the date that people should keep in mind if they want to see the next iteration of Tatami Galaxy, namely the sequel. So there you go. Look forward to that.
Yeah. On to the next one then.
So there is a very famous group of mangakas who happen to also be women, and they are known as Clamp. I'm sure by mentioning the word Clamp, it will invoke a lot of nostalgia and a lot of impact to a lot of people growing up. Things like Cardcaptor Sakura. And now, xxxHOLiC is now back in the limelight because it is returning for spring 2023. So that is in of itself quite an interesting piece of news because Clamp recently has a news story about them cooperating with Wit Studio and Netflix, I think.
For Brothers Grimm.
But before that, like, you haven't really heard that much about Clamp. It was more like the 1990s, early 2000s. Have you heard really much of Clamp?
Yeah, throughout their history, I mean, they started in 1987. Essentially like an all-female troupe. And, I mean, like, it was completely unheard of. It was also, I mean, to be very, very frank, rare at the time to see female mangakas in general. So to see like a whole group working together and actually succeeding so well that collectively all their books, all their novels, all their manga have sold well over 100 million copies globally. That's fucking incredible. That's like record-breaking numbers for any mangaka, any group.
I mean, I will say this now. Will and I are planning to do a Clamp episode at some point. When, we don't know, but we are determined to do that. So
yeah. So within, of course, their 35-year history, it did mean, of course, that some members left, some members came in. There were new people like rejiggering the makeup of Clamp. But of course, as time goes by, it does mean that you're going to need a break, right? Like you can't just nonstop work for 30 plus years and not catch your breath.
So you can't be like the One Piece guy. What's his name?
You can't be One Piece guy.
You can't be JoJo.
Yeah, you can't be Araki. Yeah, you can't just like sit there and like think, okay, like every minute, every day, I'm just going to be producing more and more and more and more stuff. Now, so they had a little bit of a hiatus. So therefore, xxxHOLiC had been put on the back burner. It is now slated to come back. So, yay. Congratulations. I need to get around to reading more stuff. So, hey, maybe getting into xxxHOLiC wouldn't be a bad idea.
Yeah, I think the hiatus was more than several years. So, kind of everyone has written it off as kind of dead. So, to hear this kind of news is very, very optimistic for those fans of xxxHOLiC. I have not read xxxHOLiC, despite like it being on like the back of my mind every so often. But Cardcaptor Sakura is dope. I think Clover is dope. X is dope. So, look, Clamp is amazing, and the fact that they're coming back into the game with xxxHOLiC is just a great piece of news.
Now on to some not so good news. So unfortunately, we're gonna have to burst the bubble and actually talk about some terrible industry news. This is also released from Anime News Network. Toei promises work practice changes after labor standards recommendation.
So it is not news that a lot of people in the anime and manga industry are overworked, underpaid, and are stretched very thin in terms of resources. That is not revolutionary in terms of like news.
Nor are we condoning it either, right?
Exactly.
It's like in the end, like we know this is something that happens behind the scenes, but there's only so much that we can do to essentially try and rectify it because we're not on the board. We're not in any way connected to the manga industry or the anime industry.
So what makes this news story stand out, we will now tell you.
Right. So this has actually been an ongoing bit of news because this situation stemmed from last year in 2021. So a female Toei assistant producer actually filed a lawsuit along with the Sogo Support Union Labor Union, where they were actually going to be fighting against Toei for a lot of things. So, open quote, they were filing a lawsuit against Toei for the company's work practices that stemmed from last November. She wrote an announcement giving specific examples of Toei's practices, including fixed overtime systems, which determined she would receive the same salary regardless of the amount of overtime she worked with no other compensation. It was also claimed that work hours in the company would regularly extend to 13 hours a day, if not more. The assistant also alleged in the announcement that she was sexually harassed, claiming that a freelance employee had touched her inappropriately. In a separate incident, the assistant director supposedly gave her unreasonable orders, such as staring at her while they were alone in a camera test and ordering her to sit with him. So in both instances, when she reported the behavior, she claimed that she received no assistance from Toei staff, end quote. That's a pretty damning lawsuit there. Again, like it pains me to say this, but this happens way more often than we would like.
So Toei Animation is probably one of, if not the biggest animation studios ever in the history of Japan. I'm looking at their Wikipedia page. They have over 1,266 employees, and that number can fluctuate depending on, I guess, freelancers and coming in back and forth. But to have that amount, and also don't forget that they produce merchandise, CGI films, theatrical films. It's not just anime and manga, but Toei Animation obviously is a huge part of the anime and manga industry. I also did a rough sort of check on Google, and their stock dropped from 10,490 shares per share to about 9,960, and then 9,720 yen. It did jump back up slightly, but just comes to show the impact of that news if you calculate roughly when this news was announced.
Yeah, it's a little too coincidental, right? So, look, we always try to look for, positivity, wonderful, happy, like hype and go-lucky news and updates within anime and manga. I guess also with light novels and visual novels, but the issue still remains that this is an industry that is rife with labor disputes, long hours, overexertion of staff, and of course sexual harassment. It's something that, of course, we want to get changed, and the fact that there is a union that is working alongside this female staff member to essentially lodge a complaint and a lawsuit against Toei in order to rectify these issues. I think it's a small step, but it's a good step in the right direction.
It's also a bit unfortunate that around the same time, Toei Animation announced that they got hacked by ransomware, like a ransomware attack. So it's just coming from all different fronts. I'm not saying that this all of a sudden justifies all these not very nice business practices.
It's just a lot of things have been happening right now.
Exactly.
A lot of bad things have been happening, when it comes to security, when it comes to work, when it comes to, I guess, the rights of your employees.
Now,
it's not a great time to be at Toei.
Now, at the end of the day, Will and I are just two Asian dudes that just like anime and manga. We are not here to talk about politics or legal issues that much. We're not qualified to. But at least from a standpoint, it is interesting to see a woman step forward and formally put a lawsuit in, because let me say that, like, when things are like formal in Japan, like, shit gets real. So that's why this is important. Furthermore, Toei Animation, the fact that it is against them is also extremely important. But the underlying notion of animators and staff being underpaid, undervalued, whether it is male or female, and obviously it's the females staff seems to be treated a lot more worse, but that doesn't mean that, like, guys don't. Everyone should get the should get the money and the rewards for the work that they put in, because everyone should be, reasonably compensated for their services and work. That's it.
Toei Animation, be better.
All right, that's in the end of that. So let's go on to our next news, which is about Manga Plus. So Manga Plus is an online platform which is basically Shonen Jump Plus, all the serializations in Shonen Jump Plus.
You got a lot of good shit on there. I'm actually really enjoying using it more and more now because the fact that they're constantly adding new series onto the platform, and like shifting it just from Jump straight from Shonen Jump onto Jump Plus, and along with adding new things directly onto the repository. It's a good platform.
I think when we first started the podcast, that was when Spy X Family and Kaiju number 8 was kind of, like the titans within Jump Plus. And then to see that grow to the catalog now and have them even announce, like a couple episodes ago, we talked about how Jump Plus, Manga Plus, for most of their serializations, you can read all of them once for free from the beginning for a year. So it's kind of promoting this online platform, which is very revolutionary for Japan when they're very, stuck in their ways, I guess, in the traditional ways at least.
Yeah, so just to sort of give you like a quick rundown of some of the things that are running on the the Manga Plus platform. Assassination Classroom, Bakuman, Black Clover, Bleach, Blue Box, Build King, Burn the Witch, Captain Tsubasa, but Spanish and only, Chainsaw Man, Death Note, Demon Slayer, Dr. Stone, Dragon Ball. You also got Haikyuu, Hunter x Hunter. You also have Kuroko the Basket, Jujutsu Kaisen, Spy X Family. You got Monster number 8, and in today's news, we have a new edition.
It's called Oshi no Ko, Now, for a lot of people, that name doesn't really ring a lot of bells. But behind the scenes, especially when it comes to the awards, this manga has received numerous awards. It has won the Best General Manga category in the 46th Annual Kodansha Manga Awards, nominated for the 26th Annual Tezuki Osamu Cultural Prize. Tezuka, sorry. It's been nominated for the Taisho Awards for like twice in a row. Ranked 7th on the top 20 mangas that should be adapted with that survey that we mentioned a while back. So
clearly, it's fucking great, right? Those aren't just awards and nominations you get all willy-nilly.
Oh, and if you happen to like a little show called Kaguya-Sama Love is War, it is by the same mangaka.
Which is currently airing right now. So we'll talk more about that later.
So that Oshi no Ko is now available for free on the Jump Plus Manga Plus platform. And that's just extremely exciting because it seems like, by all intents and purposes, this manga is going to get an anime adaptation. So,
and it's good to see that Shueisha is like, originally when they released the platform, it was just like another form to be able to consume their media. But it really seems now, and hopefully not like touch wood, that they actually start adding more and more onto the Manga Plus platform, because we've already known that print is slowly dying, if not dying, like already dead. But there's more and more digital circulation of manga, and we're really hoping that we're able to access more of this good literature, because we like manga as well. Jason really loves manga. I've been lazy and not really reading all that much, but we'll get around to reading more.
Speaking of very good literature, Will, next story's all you, buddy.
So this is actually, when Jason brought this up, it was more of like a what the fuck is going on, to me being more, wow, this is a fucking amazing. So you actually broke the story a while ago, because you were talking about a little known erotic manga called Dick Fight Island.
That is not a joke. The title is called Dick Fight Island. I read the first volume of it and I was just like, I don't even know words. I just like, this is like, what the fuck? But okay, yeah.
So Dick Fight Island, very, very popular. Actually, right now it's ranked as the #1 romance manga, as well as the #1 yaoi and LGBT plus Q manga on Amazon's bestseller list last year, and it's doing gangbusters this year as well. So much so that actually, recently the Dick Fight Island manga was trending on Twitter because there was a Barnes & Noble recommendation display that was shared across the social media platform, which was on Twitter, and it got approval by none other than Squidward from SpongeBob SquarePants.
God.
So over 100,000 tweets about the topic helped launch the manga onto Twitter's trending list. The card itself read, "The absolute peak of storytelling.
No,
it is a
it's not.
spellbinding tale of warriors battling for supremacy with their girthy sabers.
Accurate.
The art is beautiful enough to leave a man screaming in ecstasy.
No
11 out of
comment.
10 would ride the Dick Fight again. Squidward approved."
No comment on that last.
So well received that basically now it's just blowing up on Twitter. The mangaka Reiban Ike thanked his fans for essentially, his or her, I can't confirm the gender, basically like for the support of the series, and essentially that resurgence pushed the manga, the first volume of the manga, back to the top of the yaoi manga list on Amazon. So congratulations, Dick Fight Island. Thank you very much, Squidward.
Yeah, the reason why we talked about this news story is because we thought it was pretty funny, and I thought I would never have to see this manga ever again, and it turns out, no, I was wrong. So there you go.
Hey man, like this looks fucking lit. So
Look,
hey, if Squidward says it's dope, I'm down to check it out.
I've read it. I think it is crazy, and I think people who read it will understand. I don't think I'll ever read, the rest of the series going onwards ever again. But hey, more power to you. Okay.
On to the next bit of news. We're actually running through these quite quickly. So this is our sixth bit of news now. Something about purple ribbons.
Yeah. So, Evangelion is a very, very well-known property.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Eva?
Yeah.
NGE?
Yeah. So then the Evangelion creator, Hideaki Anno, and also Gainax co-founder, has now been awarded Japan's medal with purple ribbon. So this is a huge deal because this is essentially saying, hey, You have done,
You're a good person.
you have done a great service for Japan, basically.
Here's a medal for you.
I mean, earlier we talked about, I don't know how long ago, but we talked about Misaki Yuasa also receiving this award. So it is a huge deal because it's basically the government acknowledging your contributions and accomplishments.
I think we talked about the Masaki Yuasa Purple Ribbon during that specific After Dark episode, which was last year, well into last year. So that it's quite a while ago. But yeah, nonetheless, Purple Ribbons, pretty good, pretty dope.
And, Anno later created Studio Kara, and then one of the main works that was produced out of that studio was the remakes of NGE, stuff like Evangelion 1.0, You Are Not Alone, You Cannot Advance, so on and so forth. And that afterwards, I think recently was Thrice Upon a Time or something, 3.0 plus 1.0. And that was he said publicly, that's it for Evangelion. We're done. Peace out. Drop mic.
Man, Hideaki has had such a long history with Evangelion and the many fans of NGE. If you've seen the whole history of it over the last 25 years, yeah, this guy has been NGE all the way through and through, and he's had to deal with a plethora of praise as well as the DT word from crazy fans. You know what I mean by DT, right?
Yeah, I mean, why can't we just say it?
Death threats.
There you go.
We don't want to say all of a sudden, hey, we're not sending you a death threat, Hideaki. We're just saying that you've been through a lot, and we're glad that you got yourself a nice little medal to show for your hard work.
So it's just great to have another acknowledgement of a very well-known, prominent, and very influential person in the anime and manga sphere being awarded, this very highly prestigious award.
All right. We've only been recording for just over half an hour, so I'm glad that we have a lot of time to talk about the last bit of news because, get your hands ready, Jason. Crack your knuckles. Get this shit ready because we're going to talk about... so I think it was only a week or two ago when we released our little rant BP about a specific someone trying to derail the Spy X Family train.
Very popular. Episode.
This time round, this is not so much something that's really stupid regarding a person, nor stupid in general. This is more just a what the fuck is going on in the world of anime and manga.
Do you think we can call it the Baka of the month? This is Baka of the month.
Okay. This is very much a contender for Baka of the month. If nothing else comes up in the next 2 weeks, then this one takes the Baka of the month award.
Okay. So a bit of context here. Will and I play a lot of video games. That's not surprising. Video games are awesome. Video games are great. I need to play Elden Ring. I don't want to get spoiled because I have work. So one of the most famous JRPGs, so Japanese role-playing game series of all time, which comes to no surprise, is Final Fantasy.
I fucking love Final Fantasy.
I love Final Fantasy.
I love Final Fantasy up till 10.
Okay. All right. So I have played 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I guess you call it 10, 10, 2. I played none of 11 because that's the online.
Did you play 12 and 13?
12 had that remake recently.
With that weird battle system.
Yes,
and then,
really like that. And then there's 13.
Which I thought was shit.
And then I think there was one or two more.
14 was the new MMORPG.
Yes.
And then 15 was the latest one. I believe they're in production for 16 right now.
Yeah, because number 15 is basically Joyride with the boy band. Game.
So I played 1, 2, 3. I didn't play 3 because the original 3 was never released in the West.
No, I think it was on DS, right?
Exactly. I didn't have a DS, unfortunately.
Oh, I did play it.
My sister had DS. She was playing her little Pokemon games. So I played 1, played 2, played 4, 5, 6, 7. I did play 8. I didn't play 9. Then I played 10, 10, 2, 12.
9 was the really almost cartoony knights and really weird disproportion size as opposed to pretty boys and pretty girls.
Yeah. Of the games you've played though, which one would you say is your favorite Final Fantasy?
Actually, it's the one that I have not mentioned yet, which is Final Fantasy Tactics: War of the Lions.
Unfortunately, that doesn't count because that's not a JRPG.
Yes, but
again, FF Tactics is really goddamn good.
So I think it has to be Final Fantasy VII because it actually had a huge impact on me. Whether or not it stands the test of time with the remake, which I have not played because I want it all in one go.
I heard it was good. But for me,
10 is obviously the next one that I would go to.
For me, actually, my ranking, if we were going to do a top 3, is with number 3, Final Fantasy VII.
Yep.
Final Fantasy X was 2, just because like the story was great, and also the bad voice acting was just like you have to remember. And also Blitzball. Blitzball's fucking great.
I'm waiting for your number 1 because I know exactly what it is.
It's Final Fantasy VI.
Because a lot of people seem to realize that, hey, Final Fantasy VI is actually really good, and I think it is not necessarily an unpopular opinion, but is, I guess, a lesser known Final Fantasy. But I like it a lot. It does a lot of crazy things, and
I think in terms of like cultural impact, Final Fantasy VII was like the biggest footprint within the whole Final Fantasy franchise.
I mean,
there's no question for that.
You have like Lancer, right, in Final Fantasy VI. Like it's just really good, but it was also of the 8-bit,
16-bit,
16-bit. So it does not have that same kind of shock and awe look that Final Fantasy VII onwards has.
The story was so good. God damn.
I think there was like one boss battle. Actually, I shouldn't say that.
There's a whole opera scene that takes like 20 minutes to play through. The game was long as hell. I mean, all Final Fantasy games are long as hell, but this one was long.
So you like Final Fantasy VI a lot, huh, Will?
A lot. I love it so much.
So since then, they're called Square Enix, but back then they were called Squaresoft. But Square Enix has announced, we're now finally getting to the news story, a lavish 1/6 scale figure of Terra from Final Fantasy VI on Sunday. That's great, right, Will? Final Fantasy VI is your favorite Final Fantasy of all time.
And yeah, this would be wonderful to really show my love for the game. So this 1/6 scale statue.
It's limited to 600 units. So
it's a limited edition.
It is limited edition. 150 of them will be in Japan.
And I really gotta get my hands on it then.
Yeah. So, do you have money in your wallet?
I got like a
$100
Hong Kong dollars.
Your answer doesn't matter because the money in your wallet will never be able to satisfy this price tag, which is.
Do you want to do the U.S. or do you want to do the
let's
yen?
do the U.S. Let's do the yen first. 1,485,000 yen. Is that correct? Did I read that amount correct? Which approximately is $11,570 US. Let that sink in, guys. We'll give you 2 seconds, right?
Let's just call it as it is, right? Like if you're gonna drop 12 grand on something, it better be a car. It better be like an insurance policy. It better be like rent on something. If I have no idea who would be paying $12,000 worth in rent. Like most people will be paying maybe like $1,500 to $2,000, depending on where you live in the U.S. or wherever you live in the world, for rent. This is half a year's worth of rent for a fucking statue.
So when Square Enix announced this, the director of Final Fantasy, Hironobu Sakaguchi, tweeted, "Wow, that's a bit much." So you have your own boy, your main man, being like, "Yeah, dog, like it's a bit steep." And obviously he's like playing it like as like close to the chest as possible and not to offend the parent company. But when you have your director like saying that, like, come on, man, like. Jesus Christ, $12,000 for a fucking statue. Look, anime figurines and in general are very expensive.
There's always going to be like those really, really
what's
tall,
called real toys.
Yeah, or I get that. I get that. Of course, like you want to spend money like for things that really matter to you, especially if it means that it's like a limited edition. Therefore, it's actually something that's unique to you, or at least more unique to you than to others. But $12,000 is a lot of money, man.
$12,000 US too.
Especially in a time right now where the world's going to shit. Like there's so much going on, dude. Like inflation's going fucking crazy in the US right now. The yen is in the pits right now in Japan, and now you're telling people, hey, I know everyone's having a bad time, and COVID's still a thing. How about we cheer you guys up with a 1.5 million yen model of Final Fantasy VI. Like it's
so, and they have the gall to say orders are opened on Square Enix's Japan store on Monday and will run until June 24th, or in brackets until stock runs out. Like
you said this yourself as well. Like if you knew or you have any way to contact someone who actually bought one of these statues, like we need to interview them.
Yeah, straight up. If you have plans to buy it and have like submitted a bid or bought it or have some sort of evidence that you have bought it, trust me, I will not like insult you, diss you. I genuinely want to sit down with you on Discord or wherever and have a conversation because I just need to know why. That's all. Like afterwards, I might have my own opinions and thoughts, but at least I want to know, trying to be as unbiased as possible, why you decide to dish out $12K US for this statue, which, by the way, is not necessarily like...
Just to put it into perspective, right? Like, let's say, okay, like, you like ramen. I like ramen a lot.
Ramen
right?
is dope.
Let's say, like, in Japan right now, at least specifically in Tokyo, like, an average bowl of ramen costs you, like, 700, 800 yen. If you're not going, like, crazy on the toppings, right? Like, a standard bowl of ramen will probably run you 800 yen, or roughly, like $7 to $8 US. The price of that statue would be able to give you almost 2,000 bowls of ramen, right? Like... You have to think about how gargantuan this amount of money is, where like you could be eating yourself like 5 years worth of ramen nonstop, but then you decide to drop $12,000 on a statue that isn't even tasty, isn't going to be able to provide you much more than just like pure amazement. It looks sick.
It's huge.
It looks sick. It is huge, but goddamn, 12,000 smackaroos.
You can buy a car with that. Also, a lot of people in here are saying, listen, 3 or 4K, and which already is like pushing it as well, in my opinion, is like, if you're willing to dish out 3 or 4K, I will buy it. So at least, obviously, like, these are testimonies on Twitter, so you got to take it with a grain of salt. But it is unconceivable of me that people would buy this 12K statue. But if it was 3 or 4K, at least I can be like, it's stupid.
I get it.
I get it, though. Like, I get it. Like you can buy, like, I don't know,
mean,
like bear brick figurines that are like that much, right?
There are also people who are buying like those minted Pokemon cards, right? Like a holographic Charizard can rent you like hundreds of thousands of dollars. I totally get that, right? But
how are you going to resell this? It's not. You're not going to.
No, like there is a limit to it, and again, that's how prices and supply and demand get created, right? Like in the end, the price of something is very much based on what the person who buys it deems it to be worth, right? Like if I was to sell you this statue, like you'd be like, no, I'll pay you $5 for it, but that's the most I'm gonna go. But if I go to someone who is like a hardcore Final Fantasy VI fan, would be like, oh, I'm happy to pay you $30,000 for it. Okay, it's worth $30,000. At this moment, though, I look at it and it's like, it looks sick. It is massive.
Wait, you really think it looks good?
It looks. Well, I'm trying to be as nice as nice as possible, right? But even if it did look like amazing, $12,000 is a fuck ton of money. It's so much money. You could spend so much money like, just buying anything else.
Someone tweeted this. I can get 4 of these and still have money left over.
Oh God, yeah.
Which
actually, yeah. So, dude, those are still $3,000-$4,000 each. Okay.
Yeah, I know.
Got it.
That Nier statue looks fantastic, though. Like, that actually looks really gorgeous, but 3 or 4K. But
it's also Nier. Nier looks fucking sick, too. So.
But, okay, so we're going to go on and on, but our points are the same, which is what the fuck is going on with this 12K statue. It is kind of unbelievable. You should check it out on Twitter or Google it.
Listeners, if you were suddenly given $12,000, would you buy this statue? Or, if not, what would you use that 12K to do? Would you give it to charity? Would you pay off taxes? Would you pay your rent? Give some to your family? What would you do with it? Because I can guarantee you that people who are listening to this would absolutely not buy that fucking statue.
But what you would buy is buy more time with us after our break because we are done with the news section.
And also spend some money on getting a Disney Plus subscription so you can watch the
Hey, we're not sponsored, but
I'm not shilling.
But Disney, if you want to contact us, I don't know why, but yeah, you know what to do.
We got to pitch. We got to pitch for Disney, right? We got a script we want to turn into a movie.
All right, so I think that is it for the news section.
It's called Tatami Green Machine.
Oh, fuck off.
The Tatami Mean Green Machine.
How about the Tatami Princess Galaxy, where wait, that's just Kingdom Hearts.
Tatario Super Mario Galaxy.
You can't do that.
Yeah, no, Nintendo would fuck us hard. Yeah, no, sorry, Nintendo. But yeah, no, that dude. Okay, I 10 minutes talking about this fucking statue. I'm actually very happy. I think
Like
I've got
face
enough.
palms everywhere. So okay,
Is it Baka of the month? Should we give it Baka of the month?
actually, okay, let's end on this note. Who is the baka of the month? The person that bought it or the person that suggested this to the exec boards and have them approve of this idea?
I think it's the latter because in the end, right? Like when you create something like this, you know you're tapping into the desires of certain hardcore people. Therefore,
Whales?
you're enabling them because if it never existed in the first place, then they would never be never be able to act upon it, right? So, I think to be, especially in this time now when the yen is so weak and everybody is going through some really tough financial times, not just in Japan but anywhere else in the world, right? To then drop this limited edition $12,000 figure, it's the timing couldn't be worse. It just felt like, I mean, dude, like you said, right? Even the guy who made Final Fantasy was like, bruh, like even I wouldn't pay this much.
No, Will. It's a bit much. That's all. It's just a bit. It's just a bit. You know, you take a little bit off the top, then we're good. We're taking, you know, or actually take like, I don't know, 10K
just buy
off.
a car, pay your rent early, whatever it is. Oh God. Okay. All right. We got that out of the way. Now we're gonna go on a bit of a break. Afterwards, we will then go over what we've all been waiting for: the seasonal premieres of Spring 2022.
Peace out.
Welcome back to the second half of today's episode of the Good Anime Palette Podcast. As a reminder, we're on episode 33, and we're also still in the office. So, it's been good to be able to properly use the space. It was fun talking about all the news and shitting on people who actually thought it would be good to sell a Final Fantasy statue for well over $12,000. But we're going to go into some good shit today. So, as always, it's still Will, and it's still Jason. How are you feeling after lunch?
I'm ready to go full throttle into spring, yo.
Yeah. Okay. All right. There's a reason why Jason decided to go into a little bit of flow there. So we are going to go into spring 2022. As always, with every season, we go over the seasonal premieres. This time around, we did it a little bit later than usual, but there is a good reason for that. We'll go into the reasoning later. But first, I think Jason has a bit of an announcement, a little precursor before we go into today's discussion topic.
So Will and I have done several of the seasonal premieres for a while now, and we're just going to go over some basic, disclaimers, which is we don't watch every single show, especially this time around. Winter was kind of an exception, so we watched more also than we are going to recommend because obviously they didn't make the cut. But if you're going to email us and say, hey, you should check out this show, there's a good chance that we did, but we also still want to hear it because maybe we missed it, or maybe after the first two episodes it gets better or something like that. So just to inform you guys, we don't watch every show.
Yeah,
and there are
how many shows were there this season? If we're not including the ONAs, movies, OVAs, and stuff, if we just talk like at least according to Mal, like TV shows, like how many do we have that are new for this season?
47.
Okay, yeah. So there you go. Like, there's absolutely no way we're going to be watching that many.
We watched like half of them though.
Half, yeah.
And I watched a bit more, but we're not going to talk about those. So.
Yeah, for the most part, like what's discussed is stuff that we really do like want to push to you guys, listeners, or at least maybe do a little bit of a breakdown, a little critique of how we really feel about this particular series.
But what we are going to do this time, which we didn't do for Winter 2022, is our seasonal side bet between Will and I. So we didn't do a Winter 2022 for various reasons. If you want to know, you can go check back why we said we wouldn't.
Yeah, you want to lay out the rules? Just, at least as a little refresher to the people that might have heard about our previous seasonal bet, but have been a little bit out of the loop since we haven't really done a proper one in a while.
So the time frame between the seasonal bets starts with when the first episode of any seasonal would start for spring, which would be the first week of April. So what Will and I did was at least off air determine a number that we would decide upon. He would have one, I would have one, and that would be the number of shows on my anime list that would achieve a score of 8.0 or above. There is no extra points given to 9.0, So it might be in the future, but as of right now, if it's an 8.0, it counts as one of the shows. Furthermore, the stipulation is because obviously these scores are ever changing depending on so many reasons, such as, for example, Tacked Destiny, unfortunately for Will.
Was a crushing descent.
But our stipulation would then be that we would have the announcement results for the next seasonal premiere. So we would basically have one whole season to see where the scores will stand. Because, interestingly enough, if we look at some of the scores now for winter, Will would have been very close to winning.
Yeah, unfortunately, timing was not on my side, but that's just generally how it is when it comes to seasonals, right? Like, even if something was to get an initial score of an 8 or a 9.
Oh, sorry,
you
not
give it a couple
winter.
of no,
No,
but the previous
fall.
No, but previous winter, I would have also been close to. It's spring right now, so
Yes.
if we had taken into account like the scores presently, it might have been a little bit more close.
Right, yeah.
Same thing could happen as well if we were to retrospectively look back at fall 2021 as well,
Which I did.
Yeah, so that's generally why it's like. We have to set a cutoff point, for recording purposes, but at the same time, it doesn't mean that like one show that we initially saw as a 7.4 is going to stay as a 7.4. It can fluctuate given how quick things can change, during a season.
And the other way around applies too, which actually happened within the span of like a couple of days recently.
Yeah. So at this very moment, do you want to go over the shows right now, or do you want to go over like what else we have going on with this bet?
So Will predicts that the number of 8.0 shows, 8.0 plus shows on my anime list is 6. I think it's 7.
Yeah. So anything above a 7, 7 or above, Jason wins. Anything at 6 or below, I win. Then of course, based on who wins and who loses, there will be a punishment that goes along with it, like a butts game of sorts.
So we have yet to decide what that reward or punishment would be, but it could be anything from reading a manga, watching an anime, so on and so forth. We will announce that, at a later date. So that is the stipulation. So if by the beginning of that summer premiere episode of recording, if the amount of shows that are 8.0 on my anime list or above is 6 or fewer, Will wins. And if it's 7 or above, I win.
Yep. So at the moment, it's very, very close. It wasn't as close as before, but even then, like if we actually look down at the scores themselves, it has been pretty close. Because originally, like if we were to just look at stats, even like 3 days ago, there would have been 9 shows that were an 8.0 and up. At that moment, we can just list the names, right? So at the time, the shows were Spy X Family, Kaguya-Sama Love is War Season 3, Kingdom Season 4, Your Boy Kongming, Komi Can't Communicate Season 2, Summertime Render or Summertime Rendering, Ascendance of a Bookworm Season 3, Data Live Season 4, surprisingly, and Love Live Season 2, also surprisingly.
Now, since then, Love Live Season 2 and Data Live Season 4 have dropped below an 8, but ever so slightly.
Yeah, even then, like before the drop, I think both shows were 8.01, 8.02, with Bookworm at 8.04. And as of today, Bookworm is still 8.04, but Data Live is now a 7.99. Love Live is a 7.97. So even then, it's like the scores don't tell everything, right? When it's like 6 or 7 shows, whatever it may be, it is extremely, extremely close. And we still have several weeks before the fall, for the spring season ends.
Actually, like 8 weeks, yeah. So the next one up would be Summertime Rendering with an 8.25. That's what I would say. That's it in terms of revealing the My Anime List scores. You can check them out online if you want on myanimelist.com. But 8.25 is pretty hard to knock down to below an 8. But an 8.04, similarly with Data Live and Love Live, can easily drop below an 8. So depending on those 3 shows, actually, will determine if Will wins or if I win.
Yeah, but bet aside, right? Like the numbers right now that you've been discussing just suggests that the spring season has been a very strong one. Way stronger than what we experienced in winter 2022.
So I did a rough breakdown of like the stats of the current scores that are right now that are airing, and over 42% of shows are in the 7.0 to 7.99 range, with 16% being 8 or above and 1 being a 9. So it's really strong comparatively. That's it.
I'm surprised we didn't get a 9-show previous season, even with Demon Slayer and Attack on Titan.
They dropped.
Yeah, they dropped, right?
They dropped.
They were. I know Attack on Titan was before, but then
Yes.
like Demon Slayer was like an 8.7, 8.8, but never
Yes.
like close enough to breach into 9 territory.
Yes, they were both 8.9s right now as we speak. So there you go. It's hard to say, right? So that is sort of the rough breakdown. I think there might be a chance that after we go through all the shows that we recommend, we'll go a bit more into the nitty-gritty stats, the karma ranking on Reddit, Anime Corner, because Anime Corner does some weird shit. So yeah.
There is a little more correlation between Anime Corner and the subreddit r/anime around this time, but there are of course still like a few left field choices and surprises along the way. But we can go over Anime Corner and the karma ranking later on, because the most important part is what's Jason's opinion and my opinion about this season's anime.
So what we're going to do is go over the sequels first. So people who want to check out if the latest season is good, or want to check out if it's worth jumping in at this point from the beginning to now, we will give you the rundown on those shows that we want to recommend. Then we'll obviously get into the new shows. And some of these new shows are double cur, so meaning that they will also permeate into the spring season, but they are premiering right now for the first time in spring.
Yep. So we're also going to try and keep things as like spoiler free as possible. Actually, for the most part, it will be pretty spoiler free. But there may be one or two character names or events that we might bring up. But hopefully, they won't be like super consequential in terms of your viewing experience.
So let's start with something.
Let's go with the seasonal sequels. These are, of course, seasonals that have already existed in one form or another, especially within anime. So this is like a second season, a third season, or even like a part 2, part 3, depending on however the studio decides to create things.
It has been in anime form at some point or another, basically.
Yeah. So that's, I think at this moment it's kind of alphabetical order, or just whatever order we put it on.
Just whatever order we want to put, but right now it's in alphabetical order. Yeah.
Right. So one that we watched, actually the last time we watched this was over a year ago, and we're talking about Ascendance of a Bookworm, season 3. So this is a anime that was adapted from a light novel of the same name by Yoshina, who did the art, and Miya Kazuki, who did the story. There is, of course, an English adaptation of as well, along with the manga, which is done by J Novel Club. So really, really high rated for the light novel, and the anime itself is. It's very consistent in terms of its score, because in the previous seasons it was a low 8. It was like an 8.0 something or an 8.1 something. It wasn't ever like incredibly stellar, but given the fact that it has a minimum score of like an 8, it's pretty well received and quite popular as well. I don't know how popular the first season was, but the fact that like they're still able to churn out subsequent seasons and still pull in the good reviews for the light novel, it's pretty good.
So I have the numbers for you, Will, if you want to know. So
yeah, sure.
First season is an 8.01, rank 555, popularity 853, with 224,000 members, almost 225 actually. Then season 2 is 8.13, 402 rank, popularity 1250, much lesser members with 151,000, and right now it's at 75,000 members, popularity 2067, rank 515, 8.04. So the highest ranked,
right.
Second highest ranked.
Right. Okay. But enough about the stats. How do we really feel about this season of Bookworm?
I think Bookworm, first of all, Bookworm is also known as Bookworm Isekai because it actually is an isekai. It's about a young girl who is
really likes books.
She was a librarian, I think, in her past life, like modern Japan, and then now is reincarnated into this young girl who's kind of sickly. And
it exists in a world where books weren't really a thing, and like books are like it made sense. Literature was really, really, really hard to come by, and if you could find it, it was incredibly expensive because not everyone was literate, and if you were, then lucky you have the power to be able to read.
I think this Bookworm Isekai is a very interesting isekai because it deviates from what you would expect an isekai would be.
I mean, we don't care about the previous. We're talking about like right now. Like, how do you feel season 3 is compared to all the previous seasons?
No, I'm just saying like it continues those same traits, which is
the same thing.
Which is it's a very laid back show, very slow paced. They introduce newish characters, and it's the same thing actually.
it's no different from the previous seasons, unfortunately.
It literally continues where the second season left off.
So like season 1, season 2, season 3. Like if you liked Bookworm and you want more of it, like I don't know what else to say, but like you do get more of it. So let's say it's a bad thing. I think like at the moment, like I don't know, like it's because there's not as much stimulation as any other kind of isekais. You are resigned to the fact that this is going to be, as Jason said, a very slow paced, chill kind of exploratory isekai about a young girl who just wants to be able to write books and get more books.
And she doesn't have any like OP powers that you might expect that like destroy or break.
That's one thing where it's like it's different from like the standard isekai.
At the end of the day, she's like an 8-year-old, 9-year-old.
Would you say that for her, like the superpower that she has is just like incredible knowledge?
Yeah, that's it, really. So I have to say though, the new kind of direction that they're going towards in season 3, which was obviously hinted at the end of season 2, I don't quite vibe with, because I just kind of want to see her do her thing. And it seems that even though it's still not bad, it's still good. It just is not what I'm hoping it will eventually become. Like I can see like the little cracks, the little veering into that direction that I don't want it to.
Yeah, and the fact that they were kind of alluding to it, not even alluding, they were actually like leading into it from the end of season 2. You can tell they're going to start building on this particular arc a little longer. So yeah, your uneasy feeling about it right now, it's probably going to be even more uneasy later on. Again, it's not bad. It's more of the same. It's just that there's a few different elements that neither Jason or I really do vibe with. But hey, it's still a decent show. It's still a decent season.
All right. The next show that we're going to talk about, I'm going to talk about Komi Can't Communicate Season 2, which is, debuted on Netflix, Season 1. And Season 2 is debuting on Netflix worldwide. It has a staggered release similar to Season 1, meaning that it will premiere in Japan maybe a week or two ahead, and then it will premiere on Netflix worldwide as a Netflix exclusive. This is based on the manga of the same name, very popular. I love it, 10 out of 10 manga. And honestly, it's, again, you're going to hear same shit, different day, but in a good way for a lot of these shows. And I think Komi Can't Communicate as well literally starts off where the first season ended. It is almost as if you watch them all the way through, it is very obvious that it's just the continuation. Unlike certain other sequels where there is a definite start and end, you can see that this is just like one string, one way through. So it's really good. They introduce a lot more new characters with weird quirks, as you might expect, and the new quirks are great. So it's really good. OPED is also great.
Yeah, I think I watched 3-4 episodes of Komi. It was okay. I enjoyed it.
I think the most surprising thing about Komi Can't Communicate, the anime version, is that it's made by OLM, to be honest. It is very pretty still.
OLM's a good studio.
OLM is a good studio.
Yeah.
The
3D still sucks, though.
I won't shit on it that much anymore, but yeah.
Yeah. Did you really shit on it, though? You just said it was not that great.
I said they're inconsistent.
That's not really shitting. In the end, though, it's like it's hard to keep up consistency if you're not like Trigger, if you're not like
Kyoto.
I mean, dude, even Cloverworks has inconsistencies, right?
Yeah. I have to say, though, I think OLM is kind of the MVP studio of this season because they have several animes under their belt.
Yeah, but how good are they really? We'll find out more as we discuss over the seasonals, right?
Right.
Again, for me, Komi's okay. I'm okay. I wouldn't say I vibe with it, but I'm okay with it. So yeah, on to the next one. Should we talk about Kaguya-Sama Season 3?
Yeah, also known as Kaguya-Sama Love is War Ultra Romantic.
So this is okay. I only got into Kaguya 2 months ago. Right, so I started watching season 1, and then season 2. Both of them were on Crunchyroll, so it was just an easy watch. What you would expect from a sort of romance comedy, but the script, the writing, and the voice acting are mamma mia. It's fucking great.
So Kaguya-Sama is based on the manga of the same name by Akasaka.
Try. Yeah,
it's like
Akasaka.
Published in English by Viz Media. It's one of the most popular mangas of all time. Not only on my anime list, but just within manga in general.
Within Jason's heart.
Within my heart. Yeah. Produced by A1 Pictures for all three of them, and also the OP is sung by the same singer, which is dope as fuck.
I think when you have that
It's like Linked
cast,
Horizon,
when
right?
you have the same singer for the OP, when you have the same studio with A1 Pictures, like that level of consistency just keeps on building and building and building. There was a bit of a heart attack though. I remember when we first, more for you and not so much for me, when the first scores started coming out and they weren't very good.
They weren't very good at all. But then it jumped
Common sense prevailed. It is a really, really, really good series, and now it's skyrocketed back up again.
Yeah, so 8.96 is fucking phenomenal for any anime.
There was a period where it was a 9, right? It was a 9 for a little bit.
A little bit.
Like literally, like maybe a day or two. I think like 8.96 is fucking close.
That's
like,
the same score as around Attack on Titan, basically,
so,
right now.
Yeah, I mean, dude, like if it's already like ranked 14th on the platform, but dude, like that's really, really good. That's better than most of Gintama.
So it's interesting because at the end of season 2, which we're going to spoil a little bit, because unfortunately,
it's been long enough. Unfortunately,
so a lot of rumors were circulating at the end title card of season 2 that they saw a 3 and a continue sign. So then everyone thought that, like, oh, that's season 3 announced, even though there was no official announcement. Then there was the announcement of season 3, so everyone was happy. And then the first thing you see at the beginning of season 3 is exactly what that is, confirming everyone's suspicions. And I was just like, that's just great. That's just great.
It's a very meta show. It's very much like understanding that this is what we showed to the audience, and the audience like lapped it up. So we're just gonna give more to the audience, and we know they're going to enjoy it. And boy, yeah, season 3 Kaguya-Sama is great.
Like all the characters really lean into it, you know. And
it's again, like Jason said, more of the same. But like if it's more Kaguya, that's fucking brilliant. Like I have no problems with it whatsoever. I fully agree with the score it has right now on my anime list. Very, very strong. It's almost absolutely going to be a 9.
Yeah. So I think though with Kaguya-Sama, especially with season 2, there is a bit more emotional arcs.
Definitely more drama, yeah.
And more drama. And I anticipate that similarly with season 3, there will be some of that as well. But right now, just comedic hijinks, stupid. I will never look at the WhatsApp read notification the same again.
One thing that I would hope for with Kaguya is, and I know that it's kind of going in that direction right now, is that they don't overdo it, that they don't keep running this too long. And I have a feeling that they are like taking note of that, because from what I've read on the internet, on Reddit and so on, that there is like a defined end period for the manga. So we know that it's going to be reaching its climax in the near future, which means I hope that, you know, as we get subsequent seasons of Kaguya-Sama, however many more there may be, that's there are going to be times when like certain gags kind of get a little stale. Luckily, what we've seen so far from season 3, it still feels fresh, it still feels fun, and I'm happy to just keep watching it. I'm very happy to keep watching it.
Yeah, I think everything that you would expect of the quality from season 1 and 2 is the same, if not maybe even better later on. We'll find out.
With a little more spice, a few more cherries on top of the cake. Yep. Not just one this time. It's definitely like, if you have watched season 1 and 2, I don't know why you aren't watching season 3. And if you haven't checked out Kaguya yet, do what I did. Just binge all 2 seasons in one go. It's 12 episodes per season. So easy watch.
All right, the next show is a show that only I watched, which is Science Fell in Love, so I tried to prove it season 2.
There's quite a lot of things that only you watched.
Yeah, well...
You burden yourself with such a heavy weight.
Yeah, it feels heavy, but now it's lifting it off my shoulders ever so slightly by talking it out with you. So, Science fell in love, so I tried to prove it. R equals 1 minus sine theta. For those who are not knowledgeable about graphing and so on and so forth, that formula at the end is basically a heart shape if you were to draw it in your TI-84 calculator. So,
you actually use a TI-84.
Yeah.
Okay. I thought you were older, so you would have used a TI-83.
Well, I had to upgrade.
Okay. I started with a TI-84. Shows how young I am.
I had to do that for AP stats.
Did you end up playing, did you end up installing Doom or Mario?
I didn't install Doom, but I had like one of those like shooters, like Space Invaders.
Yeah. I had Mario on my one.
Word. Okay. Anyways, This show's second season kind of carries off the same vibe as the first season, which is basically looking at a statistical approach towards trying to quantify love between these two people that clearly are in love with one another, but want to prove it scientifically. They continue with that shtick, but this time they have shown some new characters that show different dynamics. So I originally thought that, it's just going to be same shit, different day in a bad way because it's going to be very formulaic. But instead, they are turning it around such that now that they have laid out the groundwork, they put the characters in different situations. They have a model to follow, and you learn about statistics. So,
to be fair, if it's talking about scientific formulas to prove love, wouldn't you say that the format is rather formulaic?
All right, what's the next show, Will?
I think the next one is still you, actually. We've got Demon Girl Next Door, Season 2.
All right, so Demon Girl Next Door is a very interesting show because of all the shows that I have watched, I watched the first season of this most recently just so that I can watch Season 2.
Yeah, you kind of binged Season 1 like 3 weeks ago.
Yeah, that's correct. And it is about a demon girl who just reawoken her powers from her ancestors that she inherited from her ancestors, and then she has to kill a magical girl. Well, it turns out that she's weak as fuck, as in the demon girl is weak as fuck, and the magical girl is OP as fuck. And then hijinks ensues, and it's pretty funny. In fact, it's very funny and very well written. And similarly with all the other sequels that we mentioned before, once they laid down the groundwork of the main character losing to the magical girl under various circumstances, they now have some sort of bond and friendship and whatnot. All the characters that introduced are now obviously you've seen them before, so then now they evolve the story to uncover the mystery and their friendship with one another. That's it. It's
right.
Really good, really funny, and
so you crushed all of Season 1 in preparation for Season 2, which aired this season.
Yep.
Worth the binge?
I think it is worth the binge because I was ready to write it off, but it actually was pretty funny.
It's just when you see the poster on my anime list, like for this season, it's kind of unassuming. Two cute girls just making poses, and that's really it. But then again, it's like if you don't know much about it to begin with, then it wouldn't really mean much. So you would have to have watched Season 1 anyway.
Right. Yeah, it's cute girls doing cute things, but in this way, it is very funny. I can't really explain further, but they elaborate on the plot in Season 2, which is very welcomed. I think if you like Season 1, there's absolutely no reason why you shouldn't watch Season 2.
Cool. The next thing this was something I want to talk about because the last thing we'll talk about for the seasonal sequels, both of us have something to say about it. The next one isn't a TV series. It's not like airing under the new TV series section for my anime list. Rather, it is an original net animation exclusive to Netflix. I'm talking about Ultraman Season 2. Boy, was I hyped when Season 2 finally dropped because it had been 3 long years before 2 years, 2 or 3 years, something like that, for a Season 1 to drop. So, based on the manga, as well as a live TV action series of the same name. There is, of course, an English version of the manga, which is published by Viz Media. And I'm not lucky enough, I had to sink into my bank account to be able to purchase those copies of manga. Not cheap. God damn. You keep saying the manga is expensive. I know, but it's like I really want this manga.
Yeah, I mean that's why I spent that much money, and that's why Azuka or some stuff like that are great.
Yeah, Manga Plus too, right? Like if it's just like free or like cheap subscriptions, why the hell not? So the series is still produced by Production IG as well as Sola Digital Arts, which primarily handles the 3D. Now, 3D contentious, still topic here. It's most of the time implemented, sometimes really amazing, but unfortunately, like 25 to 30% of the time, the 3D is god awful. This is just my opinion. I know a lot of people will have other things to say about Ultraman in terms of the 3D. I think it looks fine. I think it looks completely fine. In fact, I find enough for me to like thoroughly enjoy it. It carries on from Season 1, but as a little disclaimer, this is something I found out only after reading the manga as well. there is a huge kind of divergence from the source material. I wouldn't say it's like loosely based, but it's more like certain characters are introduced or removed to be able to speed up the series. And the reason why is because season 1 being around 10 to 12 episodes, I think it's 12 episodes, actually adapted 8 volumes of manga. And then season 2, only 6 episodes, but it covers up to volume 12 of the manga.
So for a lot of people, obviously chapters and volumes vary in terms of what they adapt, but I guess
for the most part, like on average,
like
it's
2 or 3
200 pages per volume of manga. Like on average, you would say like eight chapters, 25 pages per chapter, something
the
like
thing
that.
is that certain like Attack on Titan, each chapter is really long,
same with JoJo.
Whereas Komi, it's like 10 pages.
Yeah. So a volume could have 20 chapters, it could have 4.
But usually I would say a rule of thumb is 2.5 volumes.
Yeah.
And
Like every chapter being around 25 to 30 pages. So you would expect anywhere from 8 to 10 chapters per volume. Basically imagine like doing 90 chapters worth of material in season 1 and then another 40 to 45 for season 2. Now, it is a divergence from the source material, but the characters themselves are still the same. Okay, it's still fucking crazy watching the show, and for me, it's just something I grew up with my childhood, right? Like all the Ultramen they actually feature in the the manga and the anime series are the original 6. You got Ultraman Leo, Ultraman himself. You also got Ultra 7, Ultraman Taro. And then you've got like the other variations of the Ultraman afterwards. It's not up to the Tiga, Dyna, Gaia era yet, which is personally my favorite era because that's also where it was like the peak of Ultraman. But we probably will never see that because I think that the manga should be running to its close end. And also, spoiler alert too, there was an announcement that Ultraman Season 3, which comes out next year, will also be the final season. So essentially, they're sort of wrapping up the Ultraman series itself, at least for the anime version, because they're also rolling out a lot of live action shit as well. So I think that's like, we've done our part. It's done well for the manga as well. Time to move on back to our roots, which is to do live animation, because I think that they're actually releasing a new Ultraman this year. So.
Furthermore, this is a Netflix exclusive, so you would watch it on Netflix.
Yeah, so you can't really watch it anywhere else. I mean, I think I also said it was a Netflix exclusive as well. So yeah, like if you're an Ultraman fan and you love watching season 1, you will have no problems watching season 2. If you're not an Ultraman fan, on the other hand, I don't know why you would want to watch it. That's just kind of it, really. Yeah, it's for the hardcore fan base. And for people who just want more Ultraman before they wait for the live action to drop again this year.
All right. The last sequel that we will talk about is The Rising of the Shield Hero Season 2, based on the light novel of the same name by Usagi Aneko and Seira Minami for the art.
Good pronunciation.
Published in English by One Piece Books. You've heard it. There's an English manga adaptation also published by One Piece Books. The first season came out ages ago. Very, very popular. Revenge karma, kind of at its finest.
Specifically to season 1, though.
Yes.
Because season 2... okay, there's a reason why I wanted to leave this as last for the sequels discussion. And I think Jason has his own 2 cents as well. It's okay. It's not phenomenal. To be fair, season 1 was also if you take away the revenge aspect of it as well, it was decent.
Yes.
But the revenge part pushed it up above an 8.
And I think the climactic battle near the end of season 1 kind of implies a grander mystery behind a lot of things, which I was excited by, to the point where I would read the manga at the time. So I have read, I guess, very much past the current episode, but obviously I would expect past season 2 and into season 3 territory. And I have quite a bit to say about the first couple of episodes of Shield Hero Season 2. Originally, Will and I thought that this show would be above an 8.
I think, yeah, when we were sort of discussing it, it was it was going to be Kaguya, it was going to be Kingdom, it was going to be Spy, blah, blah, blah. The 6th one was for us almost guaranteed to be a Rising of the Shield Hero season 2. And then of course, because Jason had that little wild card, it's like, hey, maybe one of these are going to be like an 8. I'll give myself a little bit of a buffer. I'll say 7. I think both of us were like, we knew this wouldn't be a strong 8, but I don't think either of us were prepared for this to be this low.
Currently, it holds a 7.25. So,
like this morning, you updated it. It was a 7.27. So within like 2 hours, it's dropped a further 0.02. What went wrong though? What's wrong with it? Because like for me, it's like I'm watching it purely from an anime perspective, but you have watched it with prior knowledge, having read ahead with the manga.
So without trying to be all hoity-toity and be like, oh, I know more than you, I think one of the main issues was when I watched the very beginning of the second season, episode 1. All of a sudden, there are all these characters that I recognize, that I know a lot about, but I was like, they didn't really show up that much in season 1, or maybe it's the tail end. And I looked back, and they were implied that they were there, but there were very little kind of context, honestly. And then all of a sudden now, they're kind of like an integral part. There's a bunch of things that apparently happened in between the 2 seasons that, to me, I knew what was going on, but I was like, this is why? Like, why?
And that all happened within like the first 10 minutes of episode 1, because other developments happened in the second half. And then the end of episode 1, just like, I had no idea what the fuck had happened. And then I explained it to you because I watched it first, and then you watched it afterwards, and you watched it further on, and you're like, wow, they actually skipped a lot of things. Or like they jumbled a lot of shit into episode 1.
Yeah, I think the pacing of the first 2 episodes in particular is especially egregious, like phenomenally egregious. And honestly, I understand, because in order to get to the actiony part, there is a huge chunk where it's just talking and I guess exposition. But some of those expositions were quite important for certain, especially the side characters, that they pretty much didn't really mention. They showed it. They had like a couple of lines, but that's it. But they're actually quite important in the long run. But to just throw them out kind of like whatever, then all of a sudden there's a war. There's a bunch of random factions that show up. And then, oh, by the way, the 4 cardinal heroes, let's just say that there's something more to that, let's just say. And it's just revealed, dropped like as if it was just common knowledge, when Nafumi is just like, wait, what the fuck? Like, what? Like, how? How come I didn't know about this? And then everyone explained it like, yeah, you're dumbass, you should know this. And it's just like, okay. I think season 2 is not going to be that good because...
So, but the thing is, though, right now it's a 7.25. Do you think it's fully deserved? Do you think it's like 7.25? Do you think it's deserved and it'll stay there, or are you perhaps like having read ahead? Are you cautiously like positive or at least optimistic that it could improve from here on out? Because this can't drop below a 7, can it?
It won't. I don't think it'll drop below a 7. I don't think it will get anywhere close to an 8. I think a 7.5, 7.42.
Like a very mid 7. Then.
I can't believe we're saying that, but yes, a very mid 7. So look, at the end of the day, if you want to see Rising of the Shield Hero, give the first couple of episodes a shot. Especially watch beyond episode 2. If you don't like it, well,
or you are like cautiously optimistic. Hey, look, like there is also season 3 coming out sometime next year.
And to be honest, what's happening during the events of season 2 is not as good as what happens later on. So
like, even if you were to read the manga, it would be like, okay, I could see why it slows down. It's just that with the way it was done in the manga, I guess also in the light novel too, it's probably better than if you were to watch. I mean, at least now it's like there's a reason why the score is so low.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, the first couple of episodes I don't think are very good for the series overall, especially after there's a 3rd season that we know is coming. So
the other sad thing as well, I think it's only 1 cur, right?
Yeah.
So a quarter of your season is already done, and that's where you set the bar. It's really hard to make that kind of. If it was like a 24, like a 2 cur anime, you got plenty of time to recover, my guy. But like with only 3 episodes out of 12, and it's already sunk
13.
this low. Oh, 13.
Yeah,
even then,
true.
It's like it's hard, right? You got to really like pull out your bootstraps and actually work.
And to be honest, I think towards the end of the first cur of season 1 was it starting to really become, the thing that we all know now as Rising of the Shield Hero.
Yeah, that's not beat around the bush either. Like, for the most part, season 1 was also like okay, but like the overriding revenge arc, right? The redemption of the Shield Hero as well. Like, that was fucking awesome. Great. Yeah.
Do you remember what episode that was?
What the sentencing or
yeah, all that.
I think it was like 2 episodes before. It's like either to episode 23 or 24, 22 or 23, because they were doing something else for the last episode. It was
22, 23?
It was, I thought. Oh no. Oh right, no, it was a one cur. Episodes like 10 or 11.
Yeah, okay.
Something like that.
Yeah, sorry. I was like, what?
I forgot it was a one cur as well.
So
yeah.
So that's why I'm trying to say that at the end of the first cur onwards is when kind of everything starts to have momentum. And similarly, right now it's very dry, very slow, and the pacing actually is too fast for anyone to keep up. So,
but then who knows what happens in the last 2-3 episodes? It might just suddenly blow up, and then you're back to like a 7.8.
Yeah, then we're gonna eat our words and say we're sorry, guys, but also not sorry because that's how.
But there has to be like diminishing returns at this point where it's like we talk about like, oh, just give this anime a chance, give it like 6 episodes to get good, right?
No, it's 3 episodes in general.
Yeah, but this one it's like it seems consistent with how it was for season 1, where you have to watch like 6 to 7 episodes before it gets good. It was the same in season 1, and the payoff was fine, but then in season 2, it's like. You know more or not. Like, do you feel that the payoff will work out?
It's hard to say because it depends if the action scenes are well choreographed, is what I would say. And if the mystery that ties you on later on, if people buy into it. Because I bought into it, but it's really hard to sort of determine at this point. But to give you some indication, listeners, I have not dropped season 2, but I put it on hold indefinitely until, at the very least, until the cur's over, because I just don't need to watch anymore.
Yeah, give it a chance. Like, don't completely like just pass this, because if you watched and liked season 1, yeah, you should still at least check it out and see whether this works for you. But like, don't go in with too high expectations. You don't want to be burned that quickly.
And Raphtalia doesn't really show up that much as before. So
no. Okay, that wraps up the seasonal sequels of spring 2022. Some good, some amazing, and some where we were kind of, I'd say, like lightly disappointed, and things could get better, or it could just be a solidification of no, we're disappointed about these shows. So we're going into the new stuff, the stuff that debuted fresh announcements, fresh new series, most of them adaptations. I don't know if there's any originals.
Yes, there is.
Which one?
Healer Girl.
Okay. We'll talk about that when the order comes up. So we'll just go by whatever order is in here. The first one, do you want to take the spotlight? I think you want to go with Couple of Cuckoos?
Yeah, so A Couple of Cuckoos actually was an anime that premiered this week on the 24th. So last week, there was only 1 episode out.
Yeah, so had we done it when like most of the seasonals premiered, we would have missed out on a lot of things. We would have missed out on Summertime Render. We would have missed out on Cuckoo. We would have missed out on the Bubble movie as well. So it only made sense that like, okay, let's just say it as well. If we gave series at least like 2 to 3 episodes, it would be much more objective in terms of how we view the series, as opposed to just watching 1 episode and saying, oh, skip it, stream it, watch it, whatever, right?
Yeah, and at that point, if we were to do a first impressions, I would prefer to have 2 separate episodes, one on first impressions and then one several episodes later, but we're not going to do that. So
right. So how's your impression of Cuckoo after watching only 1 episode?
I actually read the first volume of the manga.
Yeah.
So it's based off of the manga of the same name by Miki Yashikawa, published in English by Kodansha, produced by Synerger SP and Shine Animation.
Yeah, dude, like 2 classics.
So
I gotta say though that the manga ratings don't really give much confidence.
I think I need to mention the MAL scores for the anime and the manga, because the MAL score for the manga source is a 6.97.
Gross.
But popularity is 520, so there's a lot of popularity.
Yeah, that's like one of the biggest skews where like it's ranked like close to like the bottom, like the top 8,000. Like, okay, that's a lot of anime, but like when you're veering close to the top 500. Like, that kind of disparity is kind of crazy.
But the anime ranks a 7.67 ranked 1178 and popularity 1626. And also the number of members are 4 times as much as the manga, which makes sense. I read the first volume of the manga and I thought it was complete trash. The storyline is very much akin to those Rent-A-Girlfriends, quintessential quintuplets. But this time it's about a guy and a girl who was switched at birth. And then after they were switched at birth, they grew up in their separate families. And then I get at some point realized that they are not their biological child, or the child's biological parents are the other ones. So then they decide to meet together. Somehow, the two meet up before the meeting of the 4 parents and kind of had hijinks. And then at the end of the day, they realize that, like, hey, you seem like a cool person. You always seem like a cool person. And then they saw each other again during the dinner of the 2 parents. And they're like, oh, hey, you guys know each other, then you guys should get married. Because that's how logic works.
That's how it fixes all the problems,
yeah,
right?
And not just that, but because when you get married, both of you would be our children. Because even though I care about my adopted children, because he or she grew up in our household, I also care about my biological children. So if both of you just marry each other right now, just makes sense, right? My dude?
That's kind of how they used to do it in like the feudal ages, where it's like, you just want to like unify families, gain power, gain land. Fine, marry. This one is more just like, you want to forget about your childhood traumas of not being raised by your birth parents? That's cool. Why don't you marry the daughter that they raised that also turned out to be our real daughter?
Okay.
1 + 1 = 2.
So that aside, there's also like a mini harem, because guess what? Because the brother is not... the guy is not biologically related to the family, the younger sister now has some thoughts. Furthermore, then there is the class idol, and then there is obviously the main girl character. All right. I have to say, though, the anime is way better than the manga, even though the plot points and everything are exactly the same.
Yeah. So, yeah, we're talking like almost a whole point. In fact, like it's 0.7 points higher for the My Anime List ranking on the anime compared to the manga. So what happened? Why is it that much better? Because usually it's like there's always like a 0.1, 0.2 kind of difference, or they're more or less the same, or the manga is vastly better than the anime. This, on the other hand, though, is like the other way around. So why?
I think the fact that it is animated helps a lot. Obviously, like, hey, it's animated, so it's better than manga. No, not necessarily. Usually, actually, it's the other way around. Here, with the voice acting, they really emphasize the fact that the family is different, but this guy still loves his adoptive parents and family. In fact, he doesn't want to go back to his biological parents. And yeah, okay, that's a very easy sentiment to show. But very early in the first episode, the main character kind of takes care of the whole family, and you can actually see like evidence of like, hey, characterization, and it just feels more dynamic as opposed to just showing panels where there's not really much context. And it gets a bit more emotional, I guess, than the manga, but it's not like, crying. It's just like, yeah, it's done better in the anime. That's really it. And I think the voice actors and actresses all do a way better job than I give it credit for, because it could easily be a throwaway role, but they actually like lean in heavily to the archetype of both of these characters.
Right. So, Couple of Cuckoos, watch it or drop it?
I would say watch it. Yeah.
Nice. Okay.
Especially if you don't have a Rent-A-Girlfriend / quintuplets thing to watch today. I mean, this season.
Everybody needs to have one of those every season, right?
Yep.
You got to have your mainstay, your stable of a specific anime series to keep you going per season. So just like, for example, hey, you like Komi, right? But can't get enough of Komi? Well, here's another Komi-esque show. Aharen Is Indecipherable. Both of us have actually watched it. Funny enough, when I saw the poster, I was like, this looks kind of cute. I will watch it. But then also at the same time, I didn't really care for Komi, so I wondered, like, is there something different about Aharen than Komi?
It is based off of the manga of the same name by Asato Mizu. There's no English release. Moment, yeah. The score of the manga is 7.63, and produced by Felix Films.
It's very run-of-the-mill sort of stats right now for the manga. I think the anime itself as well is like not too different. It's actually quite similar in terms of how it's portrayed in the manga and how it's portrayed in the anime. So, general kind of plot synopsis follows the titular character Aharen. It's a very small and extremely soft-spoken schoolgirl, and she's not just in the way where like Komi doesn't really know how to talk to people. Aharen doesn't really know how to interact with people to the point where like it's either invasive of personal space. She doesn't really pick up well on social cues, doesn't know really how to talk to people. But she sits next to a classmate of hers, Matsuboshi, who, unfortunate for him, very nice guy, very gentle, understanding, friendly, but he has a constant scowl on his face. He looks like he would rip you apart at any moment. He just looks mean as hell. So people kind of stand away and back off from him. But in nature, he's actually a very, very kind-hearted person.
And it's about the kind of the friendship and possible romantic relationship between the two titular characters.
It's like it's there, but they never go into it's like a romance cock tease kind of thing.
So I think this show is funnier than Komi, whereas Komi I think is more impactful because I think a lot of people are going to make this comparison. I think Aharen's comedy is more slapstick, and my favorite part involves a teacher actually and her monologue during Aharen. Do you know what I'm talking about? And I think that is just funny.
It was also like for the first time when I realized like there was actually a specific genre for these kinds of anime and manga, which is iyashike, which literally means it's calming, healing, therapeutic. But for the most part, nothing actually happens. And it's true with this, right? It's literally Aharen trying to feed Matsuboshi a meatball from her lunchbox. Or maybe, I want to go to a crane game. And she's just staring at the crane game. It's like, okay, I'm going to win it for you. But it turns out that she was standing there the whole time trying to break the system and actually kick ass at crane games. Like, nothing happens. It's like a different kind of version of cute girls doing cute things. It's fluffy people doing absolutely fucking nothing, but it feels fluffy watching them do it.
Yeah, and it's like Raido trying to interpret or figure out what Aharen is trying to say, and then they go through this trial and error thing of like, why don't we try this? Why don't we try that? And then those are supposed to be comedic.
And you gotta give props to Raido Matsuboshi for doing all that shit because it's like he knows that like it's hard to talk to this girl and like she has trouble trying to communicate with people. Funny enough, not communicate, how to interact with people. I don't want to mix it up. So it's like, but this is just like Komi. It's like, no, it's not. But I can see why you would say that.
Right. I think a lot of people would. But I think Aharen, the fact that it's called Aharen is Indecipherable is actually very important because you actually don't really understand her intent. You don't know what she's doing. 1 minute she's doing this, 1 minute she's doing that. It makes no sense. But then when you hear her rationale and her reasoning, actually it does make sense, but you just didn't know.
Yeah. For me, I'd say watch it. Absolutely watch it.
I think it's very fluffy, very wholesome, kind of stupid, but in like a very funny way. It's definitely above average for sure. Yeah. Probably a 7.5 to 8.
Yeah, it's like a 7.75 if you can even have that. It's very close to being an 8. Personally, for me, I think Jason would be like around that same number.
No, I'll give it an 8. I'm pretty sure. But yeah, I think it's really good.
Okay, on to something that I have watched on my own. Ashi, which is a soccer, or if you're in the UK, football based sports anime, which is produced by Production IG, based on the anime of the same name by Yugo Kobayashi and Naohiko Ueno. So published.
God, you're so much better at these name pronunciations.
Nihongo wakarimasu.
Okay. The English manga is published by
Shogakukan Asia. Now, okay. So get this right. The mal source is for the mal sets for the manga source really good. Broad score of 8.22 in the top 400 on ranking. Now, however, of course, members wise, very very small. Right, like understand it's manga, but it's like only 7,800 people on the members list for Awashi. That's a pittance, right? And the fact as well is that when we're talking like soccer / football, anime and manga, you got Captain Tsubasa, right? And then you also have more recently Blue Lock. So
which is gonna come out, I think, next season or fall.
Yeah, very 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 soon. So what's up with Awashi? So Awashi is more focused on like the actual like football slash soccer. I'm just saying football because even though like I'm Canadian, I grew up in Hong Kong, so therefore British system we say football, so I'll say football. So it's a young kid who for the longest time wants to be a really, really, really good football player. But because of the way he plays, he's very self-centered, doesn't really interact well with other players. But he's got this really good football brain. And he knows how to run into spaces, use techniques to be able to open up distance between opponents and be able to create openings for his teammates to score. But he is still always going to be the pivotal centerpiece of the team. So he's a cocky piece of shit that doesn't really play well with other players. However, he then gets scouted by a professional football team in Japan, which is, I believe, FC Tokyo offshoot. It's essentially a rebrand of them because FC Tokyo does exist. And then he goes on to trial, learns how to like properly play as a functioning member within the team rather than being like a one-man team. And you just start seeing like more analysis. You start seeing more focus on how characters move like within the field, being able to play out specific passes, stand in specific spaces, create scenarios where you can put pressure on opponents. It's a very technical show. But then it's also like you get your occasional hype moments, character developments. It's very, very different from Tsubasa, very different from Blue Lock, because Tsubasa is very much like that hope, because there was always periods of Japan doing kind of bad at World Cups, at international football competitions, but then they would get to the World Cup, and then they would host the World Cup, and they would actually start doing really, 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 really well. And it was always like, we're trying to find that gem, that golden boy to be able to lead Japan as a nation to the world of the top of the world in football. Blue Lock, on the other hand, is just a death game. It's not really, there really isn't much technique into it. So like, as much as I like the premise of it, I wouldn't really count it in the same realm of sports anime, because there's really not that much focus in terms of technique and positioning. It's more just, we need to find the best player in all Japan. We're going to put him through a gauntlet and actually, kill off 900 kids before we get to that one kid who's going to be the best striker in Japan.
By the way, they don't get killed off, just so you know. They get exiled.
They lose their careers. That's pretty much death sentence for any aspiring young professional.
But they don't actually physically die.
Oh, man. Talk to an ex-professional. Oh, okay. Metaphorically, they die.
That is true. They do. So what is Io? So it seems that Ashi is not only critically acclaimed in terms of, I'm going to say soccer, sorry, a soccer manga, but from what I understand, what you're saying is, it is more on the nitty-gritty technical detail side rather than the crazy, like, hype artificial moments that, like, let's say Blue Lock, because everyone's going to make that comparison.
Yeah. If anything, this is more sort of like an introduction into what soccer or football. Okay, I'm sorry I'm confusing everybody, because I've grown up on both sides of the world. It's kind of like they say soccer there, they say football here. It's definitely more on the technical aspects of the sport as opposed to the hype moments. You do get them, but it's more you want to go into the fundamentals before you start breaking into the more hype and more like eye-catching moments. Now, of course, no surprise it being production IG, there are going to be some comparisons as to how it stacks up to Haikyuu, because Haikyuu is quite possibly the most popular sports manga and anime of all time, unless you stack it against Captain Tsubasa, then Slam Dunk, then it's a little bit less clear there. But at least in the modern era, Haikyuu takes the crown, no doubt. It's unfair to compare the two, though, because with Haikyuu, it's like you do get you do get the fundamentals, you do get like some of the like insights into technique, but for the most part, I don't think that most people who got into Haikyuu in the first place were necessarily hardcore volleyball fans.
I mean, usually with all these like edutainment or sports anime mangas, I don't give a shit about the topic, but then through like the anime or the manga, I started to learn certain terms, the appreciation, the technical knowledge, how be it like small or large that is. So, yeah.
With Aoashi, I think with only a couple episodes out right now, it's hard to really get people who might not be into the world of soccer and actually like vibe with it, because it's such a like overlay on technical terms that it might scare some people off. I think, like, for example, if you were to watch it, you'll be like, okay, I can see how, like, you play different formations, you have different, like, positions. That's how you kick the ball to be able to create space. But, like, where's the story? Where is this really going? And I feel like a lot of people would feel that way. The score is okay, though. 7.66, that's pretty good. I think it's like if you have a strong affinity to soccer or football, then you will really enjoy this. If you don't, then it's a bit of a hit or miss. Like, I would say wait till the season's over and then see if someone else has finished it. And, like,
So-
for example, me, like, I might take, like, once it's done, once the cur is done, I'll tell you, yeah, it's absolutely worth it.
So you're going to continue watching it, but
For my own personal reasons.
but you're recommending to some people a wait and see approach.
It's
at
like
least.
a hold. It's like a hold, right?
Okay.
Like, put it on your hold list. Don't drop it because it could get better. But I think if it goes too deep down that technical path, then it won't be a watch for most people.
But what happens if it is that technical show? So it is niche for those people that want it.
If
right?
it's people like me who are like huge like soccer heads, like, then yeah, totally watch it. I think like it's like watching like Bend It Like Beckham, except that it's not as well done because we're talking about a small scale anime compared to a huge movie production. So for soccer fans who also like anime, check it out. Otherwise, just wait till the season ends and then see if it's something that's worth putting on your watch list.
Now, the next movie that Will and I are going to talk about is a very, very, actually,
I was kind of hoping we put this at the end because
really?
we have
Okay.
a lot. But
Okay, you know what?
now that you brought it up, let's do it now. Let's talk about Bubble.
So this is an anime original that is on Netflix for April 28th. So it came out a couple of days ago.
Yeah, you guys got time to listen to the fucking stacked staff list for this?
All right. So it is directed by Tetsuo Araki, also known as the director for Attack on Titan, Kabaneri, and High School of the Dead. The primary scriptwriter is Gen Urobuchi, which is the original creator for Fate Zero, the writer and serious composition for Psycho Pass and Madoka Magica. Do I have your attention now? Oh, by the way, the music is by Hiroyuki Sawano, also known as the Hans Zimmer of anime music, who did the music composer for AOT, 86, Kabaneri, Kill la Kill, Promare. The list goes on and on and on with like Blue Exorcist, I think Seraph of the End. And the original character design is done by Takashi Obata, also known as the character designer for Death Note, Bakuman Platinum End, and Hikaru no Go, produced by Wit Studio, with a runtime of 1 hour 40 minutes.
God, stop! There's only so much. There's only so much I can take before I get fully erect. This whole staff list is fucking insane.
So when Will and I heard this staff list, this went from something that I did not care about to almost being the most anticipated thing airing right around this time, if not the most important thing. And when you consider movies, it has a different kind of ball game compared to anime series because it's condensed into what essentially is a couple episodes of anime. The budget is usually higher, and the staff list is so fucking stacked. It's insane. So the story is basically in Tokyo, known around Tokyo Tower to be precise. There is a bubble where gravity kind of goes apeshit. And it's about these people who parkour for resources.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like this...
Just to give like a tiny spoiler, like as a result of the bubble explosion, it creates an alternate reality. But that still exists within Japan. So
Right.
it's basically the area around Tokyo Tower is the bubble world.
Yeah, and inside gravity acts weird because there's these bubbles, literal bubbles, and also all these...
By the way, did you know the movie is called Bubble? Yeah, there's going to be bubbles everywhere.
Yeah, that like do weird things to gravity and so on and so forth. And then all of a sudden a mysterious girl shows up and you get your kudere main character guy who's really good at parkour. Then this bubble girl shows up. You don't know what she's about, but obviously you know throughout the movie, yada, yada, yada. They bond, they help each other, they love each other maybe. All right.
Let's get the main thing out of the way first. The music and the visuals are incredible fucking believable.
If we just go by visuals and audio components of the movie Bubble. Oh, by the way, it's on Netflix exclusive. But the audio and visual component is 11 out of 10 in my opinion. It looks fantastic. Oh, do you remember like when Vivi looked good? Imagine that, but like all the time.
Do you remember like the hype music moments when Levi like rallied up the Survey Corps in season 3 and like got everyone rallied up to go and kick some ass with that music in the background? Yeah, no, this is better. Bubble is better.
Because honestly, to me, the parkour elements and like the dynamic kind of camera angles, they do like 360 up, down. It's not just static. And then when they up the ante to make it so that they jump like and run real fast, it looks gorgeous. Like crazy good. Like better than Attack on Titan. That's how good it is. It's just great. Now,
it's a tall statement too, but I mean like when the people who worked on Attack on Titan seasons 1, 2, 3 are also doing this, like, yeah, no, I think we're well within our right to make that comparison. So yeah, I'm sorry you're an AOT fanboy.
We are AOT fans as well.
But Bubble looked fucking incredible. Hands down, I'd say Bubble wins that round.
Yeah, when we watched it, not live, but like in person, like over Discord, there were moments where we just did not talk because it was just really good kinetic movement, action. Like, it's just great. It's just, and then adding with the music, the EDM kind of mixed with kind of the swelling of the classical instruments. It's just phenomenal. Then we go into everything else, which, okay, also, I guess the other thing I'll say is that the character designs look okay with Obata.
Oh, I thought they looked great.
Yeah, they're great, but, like, I don't think they stand out that much.
Well, you know why. There are certain parts, certain scenes where the character designs do stand out. But I get you. I get you. For the most part, it's great, but like it's not that different from what we're used to. But that's all the good parts of Bubble. As much as it's got fantastic music, animation, character design, the story is very mid, my guy.
Dude, don't say mid. But okay, yeah, I think the story is not. There's no story. There is, but there really isn't.
It's there as like a distraction, really.
All right, let me phrase it another way. After watching Bubble, I am convinced what happened was, like Araki or someone was like, "Hey, we should make a film about parkour that is kind of like Gravity Rush. You know that video game that we all like? Yeah. So it's like, imagine that, but with parkour and kind of like this weird."
Do you ever play that iPhone game Temple Run?
Yeah.
There were scenes literally where it was like, this is just like fucking Temple Run, except it's really fucking gorgeous.
Right. So what they did was they grabbed that premise and then designed a story around that. Because honestly, the selling point cannot be the story. It is so bad. Actually, you know what? It's not bad. It's just non-existent.
Which is a shame because the writer comes with such a strong pedigree that you would have thought that they would have given this enough time to actually flesh out a good story. But it just felt like an afterthought.
So apparently there were 3 credits for the script. And the secondary writers are Naoko Sato and Renji Oki. And Bubble is both of their first work.
Yeah, so we don't really know to what extent all the writers had in terms of their impact on the script. Suffice to say, that was the first major letdown of Bubble.
I think Bubble is okay.
Look, if you should still watch, I think like if the hard choice was either to drop it or to watch it, I would still lean towards watch it
because it really is breathtaking. But just don't.
We literally had like several moments of just 5-minute silence, 3 minutes silence, just watching in awe, like what the fuck was happening on the screen.
Yeah, and the characters are kind of cool. They are archetypes, right? But still, like, they're okay. But also the villain is kind of not really a villain, or kind of a villain, like very short, and then somehow everyone's cool with one another. Then everyone's like, "Oh, Ike," "Oh, go save everyone." And it's just like, okay.
It's a okay time. Like, you should go check it out. Again, it's not that long. An hour and 40 minutes is really not that long. But watch and just take in the magnificence that is the music and the visuals and the seamless action.
It is definitely eye candy and ear candy, I guess.
Oh, the music was so good.
So Will gave it at the end of the day a 7.
I had to give it a 7.
I
I think like in the end, like look, the music and the animation don't take anything away from it, but the plot was like a very, very heavy detriment to the overall enjoyment for myself. So I think 7's a fair score in my opinion.
Yeah, I think 7 is a fair score as well. All right, on to our next show. We actually have a lot of shows to talk about. Oh my god.
Some of these we can breeze quickly through. Should I just go to Dance Dance Dance?
Yeah.
All right, Dance Dance Dancer is a anime that was based on the manga of the same name by Asakura George, who did both the story and the art. The manga is okay. The score is a 7.31, ranked in the top 10,000. It's not very, very well known, but it's got enough attention to get itself a decent score. So this was produced by MAPPA, so there's going to be a pretty decent level of quality with this adaptation. So the story itself follows a young man named Junpei, who I think in the beginning was taking a nap in the middle of his sister's ballet recital, and then as soon as he started slowly waking up, he found this buxom, like strapping male ballet dancer step on the stage and just move with grace and destroy the stage with extremely strong and powerful moves, like dancing gracefully across the stage. And Junpei was just like in love, fucking loved it. But at the same time, he was also a martial arts kid. He really liked doing jikundo and wanted to really hone his craft. Because he wanted to exert what it means to really be a man. Top tier manliness, alpha, Chad, Sigma brain kind of thing. Then tragedy strikes. Something happens to his family, and then he kind of gets lost in his ways. Doesn't really have much of a guide in the direction he wants to go in life. So in the end, he takes some time to really see what he wants, and then he decides to go with his passion. That moment when he saw that male dancer doing graceful movements across the stage, he knew that he really wanted to go ahead and try ballet. And through his different experiences with different teachers, different classmates, potential love interests and all that, he starts then questioning too. It's like, this is not meant to be a manly thing, right? Like dancing, ballet, but I'm also doing jikundo as a martial artist. Like, where does my manlyhood go? But then you slowly start seeing him break down what manliness really means. And in the context of trying to find your passion and guiding your direction in life, is that the only barometer you need to be on the pathway to becoming a man when you haven't even become a human in the first place? It's a really touching story. It's quite pretty as well. It's very, very pretty.
Mappa did a good job. I watched the first episode. So.
Yeah. I would say, without going too much into it, because it does get a little bit spoilery, I think it's worth a watch. It's definitely worth a watch. Just if not for the story, then definitely the movements of the dancing, the animation quality, They must be hiring so many people at MAPPA, because I can't imagine how they're able to work on so many things every fucking season.
It reminds me of Welcome to the Ballroom, but slightly different, obviously. One thing that I have to mention, though, is if you watch the show, you have to tolerate very weird-looking eyes. That's about all I can say.
Yeah, no, I kind of agree. But it's okay.
But it's okay.
Definitely watch it.
So,
Daimon next?
Do you want to go over Daimon?
Daimon is just, it's a weird little Digimon that likes to make mochi.
Okay, Daimon is a Daimon Recipe for Success is based off of the manga of the same name by Rin Asano, produced by Encouragement Films. The mouse score is 7.5. It is about a guy who
he returns home
after his band fell through to go back to inherit his family business of a confectionery restaurant.
So they make dango, mochi, different kinds of sweets. Very traditional sweets.
Then it turns out when he arrived home, there was a mysterious young girl that showed up and was like, yo, hey, actually, what are you doing here? It's like, oh, I'm inheriting the business. What are you doing here? I come home. And it's sort of about this guy being a father figure to this girl who is adopted into the family and is going to be the heir to the confectionery business.
No, I haven't watched it, but you said it's kind of similar to Barakamon?
Yes, but
very lightly, right? It bears little resemblance, but you can see the similarities in the sense of character dynamics.
Yeah, I think that it's in the same vein, just like with Poko Udon's World, which is another anime that I watched that I haven't mentioned up till now. it is of that ilk where it's like a young child with a fatherly parental figure with not romantic like connections. It's just like helping each other grow, overcoming their traumas, so on and so forth. I do have to admit there was one of the later episodes, I think episode 4, the latest episode, they cover a side character that works at the shop in a very, very interesting way. And it might go places, but it's a very good, decent show, but not outstanding.
Yeah, I would say put it on hold and then wait till like more of the season unfolds, and then if you've got time, check it out. Like, it's not a hard drop. It's just that it may not grip you week to week.
Now, another show that actually is a bit conflicting when I think about it is Tomodachi Game, also known as Friends Game.
Ooh, the letdown of the Edgelord season. It's
You didn't say it's edgy, dude.
No, that's why I'm saying it's a letdown.
So this is a show which is based off of the manga of the same name by Mikoto Yamaguchi, who did the story, and Yuki Sato, who did the art.
Now the manga stats are actually like fucking good.
8.23 with rank 350 and popularity 483. So massively successful in terms of popularity and ranking. The mouse score is a 7.22. So
yeah, go figure, right? So what's wrong with this? Let's kind of like take it a little bit back first. So Tomodachi Game.
It's about a group of 5 friends who all of a sudden one day wakes up in this kind of weird, like it's not world, but like
it's like an alternate like setting of the school they're in. Because then all of a sudden, I had to say this. If anybody has watched or read Alice in Borderland, it's like that.
Yeah, except it's very clear that real life is still happening and there might be outsiders and so on and so forth. It's also a bit like Death Parade because what happens is that over the course of playing these childhood games, they are supposed to reveal and attempt to reveal and destroy the dark secrets that all these 5 friends have, because some of them have skeletons in the closet. Some people like someone, some people don't like someone, even though on the surface they all seem to be like, oh, let's do this in the sake of friendship. But then money gets stolen, some debt is incurred, and all of a sudden people are thrown into these weird games where everyone is breaking apart and accusing one another.
Wait, but they're all friends, right? They're all friends. Why would they lie and deceive each other?
So I think that if you ever want to have an anime where it just shows human beings just breaking down and just hating on one another and just
being shitty,
this is that anime. I think that apparently, according to the forums, the manga gets really good later on. Right now, I consumed all 4 episodes that are currently out, and I think it's okay because, believe it or not, actually there's more to the game than what is initially implied, and there are ways to go or circumvent certain rules. And then there was backstabbing, but is it backstabbing? There's hatred and not, and so on and so forth. It's okay.
But you could probably think of like other manga, other anime that would probably be better than Tomodachi Game.
You and I will like Death Parade a hell of a lot, right?
It's fucking great. It's one of my favorite series.
Don't you think Tomodachi Game at least borrows some of that characteristics, the premise?
Yeah, because in a sense where it's like you could see like the depths of human depravity, but then like just because a person is shitty doesn't mean that they're rotten to the core. There's obviously like backstory to people that you don't really know, which led them to who they are and what they are now.
And then they play like all these like darts. They play air hockey, which and then
like if anybody needed to, just watch the first 2 episodes of Death Parade. Like that's already like that is like very indicative of what Death Parade is, and you could see that in Tomodachi Game, but I'm not impressed right now.
The last couple of episodes gets better for sure, but it is like a poor man's Death Parade by a mile.
Yeah, for me it's a drop. For you, would you say hold? Keep watching.
It's a hold.
Okay,
it's a hold. But if you want that kind of death game thing, this is still far better than like Darwin's Game
or Gleipnir
or King. What's that? King's
Game.
King's Game. Yeah, those are worse than Tomodachi Game. Tomodachi Game at least is way better for sure, in my opinion.
Whereas Darwin's Game is just, oh, I have a gun, I can shoot you. That's it.
Yeah, because it's about mind games and it's about trying to game the system. And I think that in of itself means more to me than Darwin's Game. So
Right. Okay. Well, now we're going to go into the first. Actually, is it one of the only anime originals to air this season? Healer Girl.
So, Healer Girl is an anime original produced by Studio 3 Hertz and directed by Yasuhiro Ide,
Yeah.
who previously was the director for Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood and recently the Eden, the ONA on Netflix.
Yeah.
But
So Studio 3 Hertz. They're a pretty good studio. They've produced some. They've produced quite a few anime originals.
the story is a slice of life about girls who can sing, but in this world, singing is the third branch of medicine because literally you sing, you heal people's wounds, you de-stress them, and they have not only therapeutic effects, but they have medical effects as well. And it's about three girls who are trying to get their provisional license and become certified healers, where their job is to basically sing to heal you. So if you're familiar with like Dungeons and Dragons, it's like a bard and a priest mixed together with white magic, that kind of thing. Except, okay.
The thing is, though, when you have a bard and priest mixed together, like that's an incredibly overpowered character.
Yeah, bards are overpowered.
It's basically the best of both support worlds, and like you put them into one person. That's just unfair at that point.
So I will say this first. When your anime hinges on the concept of singing, your singing better be fucking brilliant.
Yeah, so how is it then?
It's fucking brilliant.
Okay, I think you're saying it's fucking shit. It's fucking awful.
So if you are unconvinced, you should just listen to the opening of Healer Girl. And it is basically Disney-esque kind of operatic singing. If you like that kind of Disney songs with Disney princesses, this is that anime. The slice of life part is kind of whatever. They do go into a little bit into the science of it, which is actually quite interesting with the latest episode about them going to assist during a surgery. So it's not just like, oh, willy-nilly, like, hey, let's just solve everyone's problems by singing. They actually like, oh, what happens if you put someone next to them in a surgery? What happens if the woman's pregnant? So on and so forth. It's actually quite interesting, at least from that point onwards. The music is also phenomenal. Did I say that already? They also sing multiple songs per episode. So it's not just like one song per episode. So
how is it overall, though? Like you say, it's interesting. It's got good music, and I mean, as an original, like you can give it a little bit of leniency when it's like, I guess it didn't do everything too well, because it's harder to make anime originals than to adapt a series. So overall, like,
and like the three girls, like they're each basically a character trope. So it's not very innovative. They all have a certain color associated with them. Okay, figures.
From the sounds of it, it sounds like a straight 7.
It is a straight 7, but the music is probably an 8.5. I would probably listen to the music more than I would finish the anime. That, at least the chances of that happening. The music is really, really good.
So based on that, then, right? Like, it sounds more like a hold/drop than actually to watch it. But there's still appreciation to be had with this series just solely on the music.
So the latest episode was about the surgery thing. So that one actually hooked me in. But the previous few episodes, what I did was put on headphones, listening to it, and do whatever I do. But then when they start singing, then I like go back like maybe a minute and then press play, because the singing parts are actually like, these singers, like voice actresses, are really good at singing, like really, really good.
This is the exact same thing you said when you were watching Bubble.
Yeah. Go figure.
So just mute all the dialogue, but when the music kicks in, it's like, oh, I'm back. Okay.
So basically, Bubble and Healer Girl needs to actually both.
No, just make things worse. It just means the music's even better, but the plot is even worse. Like,
yeah. Shit. Okay. Look, if you are into kind of, it's not even like Sinful Gear or any of those music-oriented shows. This is not even that, because it's very, very slice of life. Like, too slice of life, in my opinion. They do lean a little bit onto the science of how a song would actually be a branch of medicine, which is actually quite cool, but they don't lean very much into that either. Although the latest episode begs to differ, and with anime originals, you never know where it will go, which is both a good and bad thing. But solid 7, that's about it. Singing is probably an 8.5 or 9.
Okay. Do you want to go into Kunoichi Tsubaki?
Oh, fuck. Oh, me again. Okay. Kunoichi Tsubaki. In the heart of Kunoichi Tsubaki is based off of the manga of the same name by the same mangaka who did Teasing Master Takagi-san and When Will Ayumu Make His Move, because I made that error before.
Both of those were pretty like highly. Takagi's definitely highly rated. Is Ayumu,
It's like 8 point something.
Ayumu is also pretty decent
7.6 something. Yeah.
So clearly, like up to 3, right? Like Kunoichi must also have some pretty good ratings.
No, it's
too.
like 6 point something.
Yeah,
it's terrible.
What's going on with this one?
And the manga and anime are both like 6.6 something. So I have huge problems with Kunoichi Tsubaki. I will say that you should drop it and wait for When Will Ayumu Make His Move, and I'll tell you why. With Teasing Master Takagi-san, it's, even though it involves middle school people, it's like this innocent romance type of deal, right? Like, Will, you haven't seen a single episode, but at least, like, okay.
You could tell when they're just like watching it, you kind of imagine the girl's kind of like walking around with her hands behind her back and talking to the boy, and then the boy would be like, very flushed.
And it's like teasing,
very shy.
teasing
exactly.
wholesome, right? When Will Ayumu Make His Move is similar, except now it's high school, so I guess the stakes are raised a bit and they go a bit more into mature topics, but the concept is the same. Here, it's about a ninja, also a kunoichi ninja, called Tsubaki, who, whenever she hears about guys or men, she gets flustered. Because in this world, the male ninjas and the female ninjas are isolated from one another, and all the female ninjas live together in like a village and never venture outside other than to train, but they have never seen a dude. Oh, the main sensei is like, men are disgusting pigs, blah, 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 blah. Okay. So, also, you have to understand the context of the kunoichis.
Yeah.
Which are female ninjas. Yes, that's absolutely correct. But also, which they tell you in the first few minutes of episode 1 is to seduce men in order to assassinate or, get your mark. And these girls, and I say girls is because they're like 12. They're like lollies.
Yeah, that's a problem.
Okay?
That's a problem.
Then you have the female kind of sensei being like, you can never meet dudes because dudes are evil, dudes are scary.
It will corrupt you, right?
Yeah, and then like, it's just like, okay. And then there's like Yuri undertones because they're all female ninjas. So I was like, yeah, okay. But at the end of the day, it's just a lot of really uncomfortable topics that doesn't need to be there.
It doesn't sound like it mixes well, too, right? Seductive, like kunoichi, but they're only 12 years old, and it's also they have an anti-male complex, but they're also surrounded by women, so the Yuri undertones kind of kick in. It doesn't sound like it knows what it wants. It's just trying to throw enough tags at you in the hopes that it will grab your attention.
And because there is no like primary romance, there's nothing that you can sort of be like, oh, it's kind of cute and wholesome and fluffy. It's actually a little bit like sketchy, And the later episodes are a little bit better because they actually lean in less about the men thing, and it's just about these female ninjas being female ninjas. None about the seducing part. No, it's just like slice of life stuff. And at that point, it's just an okay show, like a 7 at that point. But when you mix in the guy thing, the lolly ninjas, like literally lolly ninjas, and actually some of the actions are pretty good too, the action scenes, but it's like, just don't watch it.
There's too many problems with it for you to like properly give it props, right?
There's a reason why this manga was the weakest by far compared to the other 2 works, and I didn't know until now. So
that's a shame. So skip it.
High skip.
Okay. All right. On to something that neither of us have skipped because I think I like it a lot. You probably like it a lot. We're talking about Love After World Domination.
Okay. Love After World Domination is
manga of the same name, produced digitally and in English
by Kodansha USA. It is by Takahiro Wakamatsu, who did the art, and Nobu Hiroshi, who did the story.
Noda.
Hiroshi. Fuck! I'm just gonna have you do it every time.
What's cool though is that this is produced by Project Number 9,
who previously did Higehiro.
So okay, I didn't finish Higehiro, but I did enjoy watching Higehiro. There were obviously some problems with the story and the premise, but like overall it was still good. It was okay. I feel the same way about Love After World Domination in terms of the graphics, in terms of the character design and the animation.
So the storyline of Love After World Domination is, imagine if Power Rangers and the evil monsters,
The opponents of the Power Rangers,
ends up having the main, I guess the Red Ranger literally in this case, and the female, like one of the head villainesses from the demon, the evil side. They're in a very fluffy and cute romantic relationship with one another.
Yeah. They get all lovey-dovey with each other at first sight, and then...
Oh, by the way, did I tell you that the Power Rangers are called Gelato, and they lean into that, which is hilarious to me?
Yeah, they all have different names. There's like lemon, pistachio. I forgot what the blue one was.
Yeah, and then there's like strawberry, lime. Actually, we don't know what the blue one is. Blueberry? I don't know.
But who cares about blue?
And then it's all about the hijinks of these two lovers trying to get some alone time and being an actual couple when their two sides hate each other and want to kill each other. One wants for world domination, the other one wants to save the world.
Yeah, and it's like both of them have never dated before because they're too busy fighting crime, right? Like, go figure. So then when they actually do start to foster interest in each other and actually go on dates, it's just fun to see all the awkwardness that kicks in. Overall, it's a good time. It's not fantastic, but like you kind of need those shows too because it's easy to chill down with. It's easy just to watch and enjoy some anime.
Did you see the amusement park episode?
Yes, I did.
So obviously we can't go into plot details, but obviously that's like past episode 1, so don't watch it first. But I think that episode encapsulates how I feel about Love After World Domination. I read the manga, I like it a lot, and it does this thing where it's just kind of nice to watch. Is it like fantastic? No, it's just nice, good time. It's fluffy. These two lovebirds are really trying to be close to one another, not in like a perverted way, just trying to get together and do couple stuff on the backdrop of all these people trying to save the world, destroy the world.
Yeah. So I would say watch it.
I would say watch it for sure. It's probably like a 7.5. Is it 8 out of 10 probably?
The next one is a little bit harder to make a case for, but we should talk about it anyway.
This is all you, buddy.
RPG Fudosan, or RPG Real Estates. That sounds boring and dry as shit, right? And the reason why I say that is because it really is boring and dry as fuck. So it's actually based off of a manga. Funny enough, actually I thought it would be based off a light novel. There's currently no English translation, but the anime, which came out this season, is produced by Dogakobo, which they're an okay studio. Inconsistent, but at least they do produce enough stuff within the year that at least you remember the name. So the story,
you're joking, right?
No, Dogakobo's pretty good.
Yeah,
pretty all right.
Yeah.
So the story itself is kind of straightforward, right? Demon King in this world has been defeated, and the world has become a safer place. So then, the main character, Kotone, graduates from high school and becomes a magician. So that she goes to become a new real estate agent within this RPG world. It's not an isekai. It is actually just a fantasy-based world. So they just essentially go through various different hijinks. It's an all-female troupe. It's cute girls selling real estate, really.
Yes, and I think I dropped this show, but I don't think it's a bad show.
It's just you had too much to watch already.
Yes, also, yeah, so I had to make some cuts. But it's very much akin to these girls doing cute things around the office of this real estate, and every once in a while, a monster or demon or human shows up looking for a home, and then they have to find out how to accommodate that particular person's needs for a home, because in this world of demons and so on and so forth, it's not just straight find an apartment complex and there you go.
Yeah, it could be a tree house that's been overrun by goblins. It could be a cave that is just festered with bats, or it could also be like a tall building that is pretty neat, but you're living under a dragon, whatever it may be.
Or hey, this room is really cheap, but by the way, because this is a zone where adventurers go through, you
have to be able to keep your door open so they can scavenge
your stuff.
Yeah,
and I thought that was pretty funny. And I think
that was really funny.
And I think that those aspects of accommodating those monsters is the highlight of the show for me, because for me at least, cute girls doing cute things is just another day in the park for me.
I do have one problem with the show though. Lollies.
Yeah, but at that point, like,
Yeah,
then you can't just watch any.
No,
cute
but
girls
this
doing
one
cute
is
things.
like very, very clearly that every single character from the real estate agency is lolly.
It's like
lolly.
a chibi, but definitely very lolly-esque.
Yeah.
But
Again,
but there's no sexual
could-
romantic thing.
Exactly.
Though.
It's
So
just
it's okay.
It's just literally like you see what you get, and that they don't really like embellish it that much more.
Oh, one of them likes to cook, and one of them likes to cook too, but the second person doesn't cook very well. Oh no, it's all like burnt and charred. Oh no, la 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 la. Hey.
Yeah. For me, it's a watch because it's dry as hell. That's why I want to watch it. But I can understand for the most part, it's a drop.
I think the hook of the real estate part is interesting, but not enough of the show for me to keep watching.
I was hoping it'd be a little bit drier than that, like really getting into like talking about the square footage, talking about sales prices.
Because they did that in the beginning, though.
Yeah, but it's like I wish they did it like throughout. Like for example,
Yeah, I
with
know.
Realist, it's like non-stop dry fucking information. Like it's like you did civic studies and that's literally what the anime is about.
And I think the situation or the plight of a new customer or client comes in and then them solving it by the end of the episode, sometimes or most of the time, due to complete coincidence and serendipitous opportunities, is a bit like a cop-out to me, where I was just like, all right, fine, whatever. So it's okay. I dropped it, so...
I watched it, but again, it just depends on what you're really looking for. It works for me. It didn't work for Jason. It may or may not work for you. Great. So, next thing.
Shikimori's not just a cutie.
Yeah, we only have a few more left to go, but we will do our best to be able to give as much information about them. So, Shikimori.
Produced by Doga Kobo, based on the manga of the same name by Keigo Maki, published in English by Kodansha Comics. And it is about a girl who is not just a cutie, but is also a badass
There's
woman.
a bunch of other things. Talented, smart.
Exactly. And about her relationship with Azumi, who is kind of like this...
Her bitch-ass boyfriend.
Yeah, a timid, vulnerable, I guess meek,
Meek. Like, low on self-confidence. Clearly, like, he feels that, like he's reaching... and that Shikimori is settling, that kind of relationship dynamic, when clearly that's not the case at all.
I think the show is not as good as I thought, but still very good. I love the manga. I gave it a 9 out of 10. I was expecting Doga Kobo and the property Shikimori to blow me away. It didn't blow me away, but it kept me going, let's just say.
It does just enough.
I think the colors look very nice. The pink and the purple.
It's a lot of pink, blue, purple, those shades.
And the side characters is Bakugo being kind of chilled out now. Literally, the same character who voiced Bakugo is voicing a character called Inu here that looks exactly like Bakugo. So, and also he's like a super chilled out person in this show. It's just great because it's just the girlfriend Shikimori being a badass and Izumi actually kind of basically a gender role reversal. But it's really cute. I love it. It's good.
Good. Now we've reached the final 3. Now it's not necessarily like there's an order for it, but like these 3 were like either we're most hyped about, we want to see more of it, or it's like we know what we want to see and we're really, really ready for it. I think what we'll do first,
Let's do summer.
Exactly. We'll do summertime render, and then we'll go into the last 2.
So summertime rendering is based off
it's confusing. Summertime rendering, they both are the correct names, but...
So summertime rendering, with summer and time being 2 separate words, is the anime English title, but in Japanese, the summertime is together for summertime. Okay. It's based off of the manga Summertime Render, not rendering, by Yasunori
Yasunori Tanaka.
Thank you. And published in English on Jump Plus, which you can now read. It's produced by OLM. There are 3 episodes out, and it's currently one of the 8.0 shows, 8.25 to be precise.
So it's kind of like a weird, like, Groundhog Day, like... What's that Tom Cruise movie that's based off
Okay, I think at this point we can't... I think Summertime Render, or Summertime Rendering, we're just going to assume it's the same thing, is a show where it is very mysterious. And the plot is extremely...
You're trying to think of ways to say it without really spoiling.
It's kind of like that Lost TV series of you can't really say it because if you say anything, you actually will spoil it. But what I will say, though, is that it takes place on an island, and it's about a main character going to that island and interacting with basically his hometown.
Yeah, something's happened. A tragedy has happened, but at the same time, like not all is what it seems to be. Because clearly, despite this tragedy happening, it seems like there's a lot of unanswered questions. And the main character Shinpei, is it Shinpei or Junpei?
Junpei.
Yeah, Junpei comes back and says, "Hey, like I don't feel."
Oh no, sorry, Shinpei.
Okay, so Shinpei feels like something's not quite right, and you figure out. So he gets closer to the family of what happened in terms of the tragedy, and then some weird, crazy shit happens. It's completely inexplicable, and that's when the mystery breaks free, and then you're left to sit back and watch everything unfold. Because hey, mystery thrillers be mystery thrilling.
Right. So the first thing that I would say about this show is that it looks very pretty. Very good job.
It is pretty.
Very, very good job. OLM is like slowly becoming...
It's been one of those dependable, consistent
Exactly.
studios where like if you see a show that is like coming out, you're like, that has every possibility of being an 8 or at least a high 7.
I think that the mystery of summertime rendering, as of right now for me as an anime-only watcher, is very intriguing. I think if you only watch the first episode, you will know more or less kind of the parts of the mystery element that Will and I are trying to avoid. Will alluded to it earlier. I'll just say this. From a friend who read through the manga, because it is available on Jump Plus and Manga Plus, and it's finished with, I think, 13 volumes. Take a note of dates and details.
Dates, times, just... It really is one of those shows where like it doesn't hurt to actually go back a couple seconds to rewatch what happened.
Yeah, and it's one of those things where attention to detail in what you're watching matters. Like, I will never watch Summertime Rendering for the first time, like, as a side thing. Like, I would have my full attention on there.
Certain episodes may just require like a second watching.
Yeah.
Just to fully make sure you know what's happening.
Now, this is one of the shows that are 2 cours right now. I think there's 25 episodes announced, but for 13 volumes, I would suspect there would be a part 2 if it was successful enough.
Yeah, if it was going to be fully adapted, then great. Or they might have the story completely wrapped up into... I can see it also being wrapped up in 2 cours.
Yeah, it's hard to say because I didn't read any of the manga. But
I love it.
I love it. I think it has the potential to be a 9. Right now, it's like an 8 to an 8.5.
Yeah.
And if it
We're talking personal ratings, by the way.
Yeah.
We're not saying like on Mal.
Yeah.
Everybody can feel different about
because
it.
Mal, it's an 8.25. So clearly a lot of people like it as well. If the mystery doesn't pay off, I can see this score from 8.25 drop really drastically. But if it pays off, I can see it kind of be like not Steins Gate level, but
it doesn't have to be that smart. It doesn't have to be like really, really still. It just needs to like have everything go smoothly, and then you just present the solution to the mystery at the end, or you open it with another mystery. That's all you need. You don't need it to be like a masterpiece. Just in a way, don't fuck it up.
But I have to say, I was thinking that there's a chance that this show might be really good based off of the pedigree.
It's so hard to tell.
And it is really hard to tell, but what I saw right now is very promising for sure. Now for probably the surprise of the season.
And potentially, if it weren't for a different specific series, could have been the series of spring 2022.
So, this is a manga based off the same name by Ryo Ogawa. And who did the art?
An anime based on the manga of the same name.
Anime based on the manga of the same name by Ryo Ogawa. God damn it. Fuck it. Okay. And Yuto Yatsuba for the story. Published digitally in English by Kodansha USA and produced by PA Works. Right now, it has a MAL score of 8.36. Listeners, why have I not mentioned the name yet? Because
if you had been just looking at my anime list maybe a week or two prior to this being released, you would have seen that Mal, the website, was completely bloated with advertising campaigns for this anime.
And to be fair, Will and I watched the first episode at a time, and we thought it was pretty good, but we didn't really think nothing of it.
We were wary that like this is probably just first episode hype. Let's see if we can watch a few more and then really make a decision on it.
The show is called Ya Boy Kongming.
Yeah, it's fucking good. It's
now,
really good.
This is a reverse isekai where the very famous
your boy Kongming.
Boy Kongming, who is Three Kingdoms tactician Zhuge Liang or Zhuge Liang, is transported to modern Shibuya. And then he basically navigates the scene with this singer called Echo, and they kind of try to make her very famous.
He becomes a music artist agent, essentially, and using his ability to dictate a battlefield and come up with stratagem to defeat the enemy, no matter the circumstance.
So first of all,
it's fucking crazy.
So first of all, the opening of Your Boy Kongming.
Oh, we're gonna go straight into that already. Okay.
Is Chicka Chicka Bang,
Chitty Chitty Bang Bang by whatever the band was.
So it is a Japanese cover for apparently a decent, well-known Hungarian equivalent of a Pitbull song. And
not to like, you know,
diss anyone. It's just that like when we watched
Mr. Hungarian singer, your song was good.
Yeah, but when we saw the music video, we're like, you just look like Pitbull. I'm not saying anything bad or good about it. I'm just saying you just look like that. Okay, anyways. The OP is fantastic and
it's so fun
and very addicting. Like I would listen to the opening nonstop. It's the OP of the season, 100%.
It's I've been trying to find other things that could even like stand up against it, but no, it's by far and away like the best opening of the season.
So this is why I really, really love anime, because if you were to tell me that the Three Kingdoms tactician Zhuge Liang all of a sudden
with an EDM singer,
yeah, and it gets transported to Shibuya, and somehow it is a very musically superior comedy, no romance, but like it's just fun time, I would be like, you're out of your fucking goddamn mind. But when you say it's an anime and a manga, I'll be like, there is a possibility that could be good. And guess what? It's fucking fantastic.
Now, we're only 5 episodes in, right? We still got a little ways to go before we can definitively say if this is, you know, a solid 8 out of 10 or even a 9 out of 10. But as it stands right now, like, I haven't had a bad thing to say about any of the episodes. I mean, PA Works is good. They're a good studio.
They produce a lot of works that are very good looking, for sure, with like Sakura Trick, the Aquatopia on the White Sand.
Was Shirobako also
yes,
PA Works? Yeah.
I think so, yeah. So they're well known for doing those kinds of slice of life female-oriented roles. So all of a sudden to adapt a manga, by the way, was an interesting choice. And, dude, so good. So good.
It's a really, really interesting show.
It's a fun time.
Look, we kind of just were like, hey, it's on... Mal's pushing it to us. It's on. Let's just go watch it then. And it was a very good show.
No, we watched it even before there was ratings, right?
No, not even rating. I'm talking about like when Mal was putting up the ads.
Oh yeah. I was ready to dismiss this
because it was just like, you're just feeding this in, and it's just like, oh, you're just making it so that everybody watches it before they realize it's shit. Wrong. It's actually really fucking good. So I put my hands up. I was ready to shit on it. I'm a Kongming fanboy. Your boy is a Kongming fanboy.
I didn't expect to like this anime so much, but I really do, and I think it deserves all the accolades and hype that it gets. You should at least give it a shot, because it really blends in the music scene and characters and Three Kingdom Sun Tzu Arts of War type bullshit all together in a pot, and it actually works.
Yep. It deserves all the awards it gets this season for being the second best anime of the season, because unfortunately a certain other series is just fucking killing it in the spotlight right now.
There's one of the shows / mangas that Will and I have been talking since the inception of this podcast,
and it feels so good to finally talk about the anime as well.
From talking about the manga to the fact that the manga performed very well to the eventual, we obviously knew, everyone knew
the teasers of like, oh,
the domain names.
An anime might be coming. Anime might be coming.
And then the anime coming out, hearing the staff list, and then now, a couple of episodes in. It's none other than Spy X Family. Right now, it is obviously doing extremely well. It is the highest MAL Spring 2022 seasonal with a 9.08. It is based off of the manga of the same name by Tatsuya Endo, published in English on Jump Plus, produced by Wit Studio and Cloverworks. So this collab is like insane. And it is going to do a 2-cour run with 1 cour happening right now. And then the second cour, I think, is in fall. I think they're taking a break during the summer.
Yeah, but hey, that means this year you will be getting a lot of Spy X Family content.
So
do we need to go into what Spy X Family is all about? I think you said it so many times.
no,
but
we don't need to. And to be honest, the fact that you're hearing about this at this point means that you probably have heard of Spy X Family even before listening to this. So
it's on Netflix. It's on Crunchyroll. You're already watching it right now.
The fact that Crunchyroll has a 5.0 rating, I don't know if now, but it had a 5.0 rating because 98% of people gave it 5 out of 5. It's just like
at the very least, it's near perfect.
It's near perfect. And I have to say though, they delivered almost on every front, from the way it looks to the voice acting.
Oh, can we just say that the best voice acting was Anya?
Cutie.
Oh my Peanuts. Oh my god, she is so fucking cute.
When Anya's like, please don't sell me, I was like,
am I being sold? No, not again.
Fucking like hilarious.
The thing is, as well, it's like we knew these scenes were happening because we already read it in the manga, but it's just so cute and like heartwarming to see it all over again, but with like wonderful animation and amazing voice acting. The voice acting adds like a very nice touch to it.
So everyone lost their shit when a certain proposal was made with a certain ring, let's just say. And Will and I obviously knew because we read the manga, but to see it animated was fucking fantastic. For those of you who don't know, Spy X Family is about a family of 3 where each of them actually are hiding secrets from another. One is a spy, the other one's an assassin, and the third one
is a dumbass who can also read minds.
And it's about their...
I'm sorry, Anya. You're cute.
No. Even she will admit that she's dumb.
Yeah.
But then she'll get mad and then you throw her peanuts and then she'll be like, oh my god, peanuts. Okay, so anyway.
And then you put on the TV, I'm watching spy shows now.
So...
it's just so cute. Oh, and also, like, before anything, right? Like, we're only 3 episodes in to Spy X Family, right? It is already the 5th ranked highest anime on the whole platform.
No,
for
4th.
It dropped to 5th.
Oh, dropped to 5th? Oh.
Hey, dude, doesn't matter. Top 5, baby. That's fucking crazy. Do you know how... like, right now, in terms of all anime, which includes ONAs, movies, specials, whatever the fuck, right? It is only behind Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, Gintama, the 3rd season, part 2 of Attack on Titan, and Steins Gate. That's wonderful company to be part of. Top 5. Spy X Family. Only three fucking episodes in.
So, I don't know about Will, but for me, I knew that Spy X Family, especially after learning about the Wit and Cloverworks collab, was going to be fantastic.
No, I thought it was going to be complete shit. Of course I knew it was going to be good with the right studios.
No, but I did not expect it to be, like, the reception to be this good. I honestly thought that, like, it would be popular, it would be well received, but for it to be ranked so highly almost everywhere nonstop, such that there had to be controversies and dumb shit that has to be made just to bring it down a peg, which, by the way, did not work.
To give you a quick update, that TikToker ended up renaming their account and making it private. So the internet won.
Listen to our BP6 for that. So look, there's nothing else that needs to be said. Spy X Family is action, wholesome, comedy, all into one. Will and I are going to watch every single episode, no doubt.
One thing that does make me happy, Fruits Basket, the final, is still in the top 10. So happy about that.
It's Fruits Basket, so yeah. But I would say overall, we have gone through pretty much all of the spring seasonals. I think
that we think are worth mentioning. Actually,
yes.
Yeah. There's a lot others.
There's like 5 or 6 more that I watched, but I was just like, oh my god, and I dropped them after 2 episodes. But look, I think the best thing to watch obviously is Spy X Family. There's no doubt, but your boy Kongming is also very, very good. So,
and if you want something that is kind of like off the cuff, just a little bit like not like similar to any of the stuff you're watching this season, Summertime Rendering is definitely a good pick.
Yeah.
If you need a thriller, go check that shit out.
If you need something that is more like standard slice of life fluffy, I think Love After World Domination is perfectly adequate.
Or if you just want pure fluff, then Aharen Is Indecipherable. That's another good one too. It just basically this season is very strong. Even if we take out the sequel seasonals.
But sorry, Bubble, I really tried to like you.
It's okay. So like just like a full disclaimer again, right? The reason why we did this later than earlier this season was
that's
because of Bubble.
Yeah, actually, a Couple of Cuckoos was just like as like an addendum. originally it was because we wanted to talk about Bubble. That's why we waited so long, and also so we can get several episodes of all the shows that we watch.
Yeah, like summertime render, we will at least get 2 or 3 episodes in. I wouldn't say we got burned. I wouldn't say that it was a bad decision in the end. In the end, I still got enjoyment out of it, but boy, it was as much as like the biggest surprise of the season was your boy Kongming. The biggest disappointment, and it's because of how high the expectations were. It would have to be Bubble.
Yep.
Either Bubble or Shield Hero.
So you'll think about it after I go through the housekeeping,
yeah.
and then you can chime in after that. So that's the end of our spring seasonal episode 33. You can always reach us through our email, gapalette@gmail.com. That's GAPALETTE@gmail.com. All lowercase, all one word. You can contact us on Twitter using the handle @PaletteGood. That's capital P and capital G, all one word. We have a Facebook page at www.facebook.com/palettegood, capital P and capital G, all one word. And we have a website. We encourage you to check it out. You can visit our website at www.goodanimepalette.com, all lowercase, all one word. You can join us on Discord to tell us how awesome Spike's family is, or you can join us on our Mal Club to say that we shit on Bubble and it's not justified.
Or maybe, yeah, exactly. Maybe you love Bubble and like we're the wrong ones.
Music credits for this episode, though. Our intro music is No Cry by Fashion. Our break music is Be Right There by Omie, and our outro music is Future Vibes by Kyo. Our music was provided courtesy of epidemicsound.com. If you're interested in using Epidemic Sound as a service, we'll have a referral link that's provided for you in the show description. All right.
Yeah, back onto what I was saying, that for me, like, if I had to go by the biggest disappointment of spring, it's either between Shield Hero and Bubble, but the problem there is because I already knew what Shield Hero was before the revenge arc. Therefore, like, I could see it's understandable where the drop-off came in. But with Bubble,
honestly, it has right now an 8.43. I was expecting it to be an 8.43, not a 7.43, basically. Is the score that I thought, given the amount of staff and how stacked it is, the way that it looks, the way that it feels, and the trailer footage that we saw, I was ready to be like, this is probably one of the best anime films to air this year. If we don't include Jujutsu Kaisen 0, because technically it came out last year in Japan. But yeah, I was ready. And then I did not get what I want. It was still okay, but it's a bit of a disappointment. Will, any closing thoughts for spring?
No, spring is strong. I really think that, like, of all the previous seasons we've been going over on this podcast, that spring 2022 is probably one of the strongest.
Yeah,
in
I
recent
think so.
memory. I think that, like, you could really pick whatever genre you want and actually be able to find something. I mean, outside of horror, really, or anything edgy, gory. We haven't had any of those in a while.
Actually, a lot of fluffy stuff. So yeah,
just so much fluff. Yeah, but hey, it's still good. It's good pickings in terms of what you want to enjoy with the season. We're gonna be rolling out another episode in a couple of weeks, but during that time we will have more time to watch more seasonals. We will probably finish the ones we talked about today. I'd say 75% of them we will completely finish.
So I would completely finish Aharen, Deaimon maybe, Healer Girl maybe, Shikimori I would definitely finish, Love After World Domination, Komi, Demon Girl, Kongming, Science, and Spy, Summertime. Tomodachi Game, nah, maybe not. Couple of Cuckoos, actually, Bookworm I'm still a bit iffy on, to be honest.
Yeah, I think it's just because the fact that, like, it's so similar to all the other seasons that it's not a must watch.
Oh yeah, Kaguya definitely I will watch as well.
Oh yeah, how do we forget about Kaguya?
Yeah, my
Kaguya,
bad
for sure. I could do some Kaguya right now. Yeah, more Kaguya would be great. Look, I will probably finish up most of the stuff I've been watching. I'll report back into it later on the end of the season, when hopefully we have some turnaround in the scores for our seasonal bets. But right now, it's all in the balance. At this moment, Jason is still winning.
Yeah, and we will see you on the next episode, which we will talk about our next Gotta Watch Them All, which would be pretty interesting.
More JoJo and more Monogatari. It's gonna be a fun time. How you're enjoying the JoJo journey so far, right?
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, I'm fucking loving the Monogatari journey. Despite Nisei,
Yeah.
but we already knew that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So we'll report in on our spring seasonal consumption as well as what other things that we have been watching and reading next episode.
Yeah. Until then, take care, y'all. Enjoy the next couple of weeks. We will be back with another episode of the Good Anime Palette Podcast. See y'all then.
Peace.